I've realized for myself, like understanding editing and like content and all that kind of stuff, like helps you also to find better people. But I mean, don't you think you can spend your time better and more efficient on other things and have others like do the editing and like the cutting and all that kind of stuff, and you focus on,
Yeah,
you know,
it
what you're
depends.
good at the content side of things?
Yeah, it depends on what the deal is or what your partnerships are like. You know, if like for instance, right, if a lot of these production companies they want to see they want to use my audience, right? They want to use my
Hmm.
ideas, they want to use my audience, they want to work with me, they want to provide me the infrastructure for production, they want to provide me an infrastructure to get sponsors lined up for it. They want me to focus on making the content, getting the guest or getting the collaborators and then just really doing the content. So I think if you have the right partnerships, it's great. But if you don't have those partnerships set up, then you basically got to do things on your own. So you either got to hire somebody who could do that, or for me, I always used to really love doing it myself, and I think that's what makes you unique. Is that if I want to try out different editing styles, I can try them out. That'll be pretty unique to me and what I do, and sort of like has my overall tone for it. And I'm sure both could probably be a good route, right? You could hire an editor. A lot of people done that. They don't hire an editor. They hired a production team and they made good content. But for me, I feel like it's actually been a real good benefit. But I could see it the other way too. I'm gonna test out your theory though coming up here.
What do you mean you're going to test out my theory?
Well, basically, I'm getting into the live event world. I'm getting into the live experience world in Vegas, and
Uh-huh.
trying to buy a casino right now. I'm trying to partner with a casino. I'm trying to buy a
You're
casino.
trying to
I'm
buy a
start.
casino, like an entire casino?
I'm trying to buy. I don't think it worked that way, right? Basically, you have partners in the deal, or you can work with the management for the casinos, and you could potentially install your events there. Like for instance, I'm going to do an event coming up with the Win. And we can talk more about that as it goes on. Where I'm doing like my first official ambassadorship. I haven't announced any of this yet, so I'll like do an official announcement stuff like that on my channels. But we can talk about all this. I know you've had a lot of experience with this stuff too. So, but yeah, I'm trying to basically here it is, Ben. Right, I was doing these live streams. It was 4 a.m. and there was 4,000 people watching, and I realized that these people are fucking crazy and they need something to do. So I said, okay, well, I gotta get the Legion of play. Like, listen, if I can get 4,000 people at 4 a.m. about anything, right? I mean, then it seemed like then you should be able to fill up some kind of event. So I was like, okay, well, if I had a full-time event space casino in Vegas, I always got a place for the Legion to go eat. They can play poker, they can go to the nightclub, I can give them some rooms, right? They get comps, they get a fun experience. I'm gonna treat them well. So that's why I said, okay, well, I got to start meeting casino owners. I got to I got to put out the casino energy and I got to start thinking like a casino owner. And I've already got some pretty interesting offers. So, right. So basically, what you do is you find the partners, you find the people who are the investors who have the money, David Bezos style, and then you help connect them to the right deals. And then in that, you end up getting a piece of the deal. And you also could potentially further the relationship with the developer or further the relationship with the management team who's running the hotel or running the operation. So just kind of gets you in the door. And then from there, right, you start getting more experience and knowledge and working with more people. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm at the ground floor of this, but I feel like I've been setting this up for a long time. I already do the online event, and this is going to be my first live in real life physical world kind of thing.
So how much are you allowed to share? Is it like locked? Is it a fixed deal? Is it ready to announce? Is it ready to roll?
Uh,
Or is it still in the making?
For which deal? Well, basically, I mean, I'm
All
kind
the
of
deals. We want to know everything. As much as you
yeah,
can
sure. I mean,
share.
yeah, which one do you want to know about?
What
Let's
is the
get
most exciting? What is the one that you're the most excited about?
Okay, well, there's a few, right? Obviously, I'm most excited about getting an event in a casino, basically building my World Series of Poker. My not necessarily like the only poker specific. I think like a modern strategy, my own strategy is probably going to work a lot better. But I'm basically realized that in the poker world, you can either operate the poker site or you can operate the poker event. So for me, I've always really loved putting on online experiences so that I want to say, okay, well, I'm pretty sure if I put on a live event experience, that is going to be great. I'm going to treat the customer well. I'm going to treat them with respect. I'm going to try to put on a good show. It's going to be great content. It's going to be fucking hype. I think people are going to love it. I think they'll be excited. So I was like, all right, well, it's just a matter of having the courage to actually go through with it, structure it, understand how to make the deal, understand how to find the right partners, understand how to think about making that content for whatever the hell's going on with that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about the opportunity to do something like that and to be able to kind of take those footsteps and get more into that world. And then also, when I'm working out my investment strategy, I got a pretty interesting investment the other day. I think we're almost close to, figuring out terms for what that deal might be, but that's for like a content creator monetization platform online, which obviously there's like a bunch of different variations of that, but this is like a combination of all those in one. So I've been working on that as well too. So I had to take some time away from the internet and take some time away from Twitter and YouTube and fucking really lock in and kind of figure these deals out with the companies and then figure out how it's all going to work into what the hell I got going on here.
That sounds like a lot of big projects ahead of you. Do you have like some sort of agent or consultancy that consults you in these sort of deals? I mean, I guess you're dealing with also what a lot of people would call business sharks, like some very long contracts and details and gotta make your due diligence. So what
Yeah, I
happened?
think I think I've gotten pretty good at understanding how to not put myself in situations like that, right? I don't really work with many people. I've only worked with a very limited number of people. I give companies a lot of chance. Like I might give them a first chance. I might do a collab with them, but a lot of those times it's more contract work that might be for
Hmm.
one-off events versus like signing these 1 year, 2 year, 3 year deals. So, when you think about like being a business shark, I would try to start to consider myself and say, okay, how do I get to that level? How do I get my business in order? Who do I need to find around me who can handle these things? So when you mentioned like an agency, that's certainly something I'm starting to look more into now, just because as I start to scale up what the hell I'm going to do, then you want to have people that can take care of things in your organization or your operation, depending on how you structure things. So I would love to find some great people to work with, but I'm sort of at the, early stages of figuring out what exact directions I'm going to take with that. And then for an agent, right, if I want to do more like mainstream stuff and actually try to be famous outside of poker, then I might sign with someone like UTA or CAA, which represent a lot of people in LA area and they represent a lot of influencers. I could also sign with a poker agent. There's a couple different poker agents right now that are doing a lot of work as well. So I usually just work with people I know and companies I know, and I know a lot of people. I've developed a lot of relationships. I've helped a lot of people out over the years. So give a lot of people a lot of value over time. I got a big platform. Most people want an extra platform. Everybody need more marketing. Everybody need more attention on what they're doing. So the value proposition I offer people is pretty straightforward, and most people seem to be able to see that. So it kind of gives you some leverage on the deals that you can make because the people need you just as much as you might need them on a partnership.
Yeah. That sounds super exciting. I can't wait until you get involved in that. And for the casino deal, like what's your role? Is it also more like an influencer sponsored kind of
No,
deal,
bro.
or is
No,
it
no.
more
I want to.
management in the background, like like
I mean, my ideal version of this is basically I'm able to create events at a
oh,
property that I own and that I have
nice.
a piece of, right? I mean, you're not gonna
Yeah.
get a big unless you're putting up the capital, you ain't gonna get
Hmm.
a big piece of the deal. And if like they're raising $1.3 billion, then if you bring in
Fucking
50 million or if you bring in 100 million, then you're gonna get a very small percentage of that deal. But the deal eventually, right? That's the first deal that you have.
yeah.
So this is a 20-year, 30-year, 40-year kind of thing where you start to get your foot in the door of these kind of things. You can start to build on top of there. You can start to meet. All you really got to do is meet the right person, meet the right people, and once you show people that that's what you want to do and that you actually know what you're doing and you want to learn, you want to get better, then I think it's only going to open up more opportunities. So I feel like the first deal would be something like that. Like that is what I'm going for, which is more about you bring the investor who has the capital, who wants to be involved in the project. In this instance, it would be a casino on the strip potentially. And then obviously decides the developer or the investors, one of those deals, you can kind of cut into that and potentially get involved with that. So they might take on strategic investors, people that they feel like can help guide them somewhere. They might just want to get money. You never really know. Everyone's got a different viewpoint on it. So that would kind of be the stage of things it might be at now. And then if you want a relationship with the people who are operating the casino, then you really got to go higher up to the people who could really start to make decisions. And that's going to be different for all the different companies. I'm kind of figuring that out now. Whereas, like for poker, if I want to do poker events, I know all the poker room managers. So that's pretty easy to get set up. And obviously, they understand if I go there, if I make piece of content, if I promote it, if I talk about it, if I fill the room up, then that's going to be good for them. Everybody win, win, win in that situation. Customer has a good time we put on a good event, the casino happy, people came there, there's content being made, promoting the event. So that's another option, is to do something like that, whether it's with poker, whether it's with a nightclub, whether it's with an event space. So kind of developing out the vision for what that might look like right now. But poker is the obvious one, right? So I'm going to go ahead,
Mhm.
do poker first, get my feet wet, and just start getting in reps, right? Like start playing hands, start just get, boom, 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 and see what we can come up with.
What is your ideal scenario? What kind of games? I guess maybe more PLO, cash games, tournaments, a wild
I
mix of
think,
everything. Like,
and I think everything out there for the taking right now, really, man. I see poker as just like very, very ancient, right? I see it as there is the same thing been done for so long. No one really brought a new idea. No one brought a new vibe. No one's brought some new viewpoints to maybe what this could look like. And I just think there's so much room out there for new events to thrive, to succeed, to build brand, to build value, to build on the overall asset of the event series itself. So for me, when I think about what the event could be, I mean, obviously I'm a cash game player, so I think I would crush if it was just all cash games and just a fun vibe, right? A little bit more exciting than your traditional cash game is going to be. You go to the casino right now, you got a lot of guys on the iPad, you got a lot of guys with the headphones, especially at higher stakes. So overall, I think the kind of environment, a lot of people are trying to create with their meetup games is more fun, more exciting, more hype, more interesting, more to do, more of a party style atmosphere, which is kind of what I'm going for. And then also, if you want to make it more serious, you can kind of pivot there. You could have something like that. You could work that into your events. So there's a lot of different strategies you can take with building up your events. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of blueprints out there that work out. So if you want to do tournaments, everybody done tournament series, it's real easy to understand how to do that. You just plug in someone with experience, they help set it up for you, and then you kind of build out your uniqueness of what you're going to do from there. So I'm kind of right now, the first one will be cash game though.
how do you want to
You
make
know?
it more unique? If you look at cash games and tournaments, and if you look at the current landscape, how things are being executed, any kind of like ruling, maybe sunglasses, what is it something that you would change right away when you could decide how your games are being executed and operated on? What are the things that you want to maybe introduce, get rid of? Like, do you have already
Yeah,
certain
a
things
lot
in
of it's
mind?
like a lot of it's like first of all, making games private or making the invite list a more
Oh,
curated experience,
okay.
invitational. So the people who can play in your game, obviously, this is a common thing in Vegas at like higher stakes where they introduce private games and they only invite certain people who are going to make for an entertaining show, entertaining game. That's the obvious thing that you do right away is you start to build out your ideas and events like Poker Go. They're Poker After Dark, right? Like you can't go on Poker After Dark. You can only be invited to go play
Yeah.
Poker After Dark. When you go to Hustler Casino Live, you can't go on Hustler Casino Live unless you're invited to play
Hmm.
Hustler Casino Live. So that's been a proven model that you can do. And then from there, you are going to increase the overall entertainment value of who's there because you can have your VIPs there. You can have your fun players there. You can have people that are a good time, that are a good show, that want to have a good time, that want to bring up everyone else. You can set the mood with the kind of people that you bring there, with your staff that you have working there, with any sort of promotion that you have, with any sort of game variation that you have. If you put in like a seven deuce game, the Squid Game's getting popular. So you can throw in things like that. You can throw in Splash the Pot. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of different things you can try. I feel like variations of the game. People doing the stand
Hmm.
up game. Right. There's things you can try. I've never really like played a ton of live poker different variations. Like once I get playing, I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm going to figure something out that's going to really spice the game up. And I don't seem like it's going to be that hard to figure out some interesting things to at least try.
Sunglasses
So,
allowed or not?
whatever. I mean, you want to wear sunglasses, right? It is what it is, right? You wear sunglasses, sure.
So it reminds me a little bit of GG, the way they have been very innovative with their tournaments. Like, of course, certain things have been very controversial and not necessarily been very well received by the community. But I feel like what they did over the last couple of years is being way more innovative and also taking over the market share and now being the market leader, at least when it comes to tournaments. And I even think also for cash games, right? They've introduced a lot of really really cool features, and I think that's the way to go, right? You try and error, try out new things. Like, don't be afraid. And I have a lot of respect for that. I mean, it sounds like a big. Are you? I don't know. Whenever I jump into a new business endeavor, and there's like we also just finished our first round of investment for Ascend, and like a lot of these business deals, like sometimes they feel also a bit scary. You know, it's like bigger stakes. Like you deal with also a lot of experienced people, business sharks. You know, is it something that crossed your mind that you're maybe a bit scared or anxious or afraid, or just like fuck it, it's gonna be well. Like
Yeah,
if
I
not, I
can
learned
see.
from it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how do you feel about that whole new, like it sounds like a new level of doing business. You know?
I think that's like a limited belief, right? That it's real easy for us to assume that, or to think that, or to think they're people, person's a business shark. And obviously it takes a lot of courage to do something new, to step outside your comfort zone, and it's easy to be anxious and fearful. And I've definitely been that way about doing things like this before in some ways, mainly because I felt like I didn't really need to do anything, and I could have just kept doing what I'm doing, and I would have been, living a pretty comfortable life with that strategy. So I already have a pretty good strategy. I have a pretty safe strategy for the most part, right? Risky in some ways, safe in other ways for what I've been doing. If you like start to break it down and really try to look at it. But I think in the future, I plan to do a lot of deals that are real big amounts of money with the biggest companies, corporations, investors, people in the world. So you basically just got to get past that. So I look at these as like, a step up the ladder. It is what it is. You got to figure it out. You got to get better at it. You got to find the right people to work with. And but yeah, I can see what you're saying, right? Like a newer deal. But that's why you can also choose your partners really well and try to use high quality partners that you think are going to do right by you, and you can do right by them, and you think that they're going to be able to deliver on what they're bringing, so that the plan that you have for your future can be realized. And for instance, right, if I worked with Doug Polk for a long time with Upswing Poker, we did a lot of content together. He's grinding, working hard, great ambition, great vision for what he wants his brand to be, what he wants his company to be, what he wants his legacy to be. Me and him pretty aligned in a lot of different ways, so we worked together pretty much seamlessly for a long time, helping to promote each other, helping to work together, helping to sell more stuff on Upswing Poker when I did affiliates for him. So, I got real lucky with that partnership, and I think he got lucky too. We all worked together pretty well. It's great for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of things I'm looking for, and I think that takes away a lot of the fear that one might have. And then as far as investments go, like, that is what it is, right? Like the investments you make, some are going to work out, some aren't going to work out. So you can kind of devise a strategy, how hands-on you want to be with that. If you want to build out an organization, how much value you want to add as an investor, how much energy you want to put into that. And obviously those deals are hard to figure out because you don't really fucking know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a little bit how I think about both of those things.
Yeah, I see it in business also very much like a relationship with a partner, right? You need to find the right people that you can trust, that where 100% that you both want a win-win situation for each other. I've met a lot of people doing business where they just want to have the biggest pie for themselves. And that's never going to be sustainable relationship. It's never going to be this long-term kind of, you can trust each other and whatever, all right? Yeah, you're happy to give the other 5% more, or he's happy to give you 5% more, whatever. You're not just nitpicking about the details. You just know the grand scheme of things and the vision that this is going to be a successful thing if you both trust each other and you can rely on each other. But this is still very rare business. I think once you found each other, I think it's also in Raise Your Edge with Jeremy that you just met on the call, who we worked together now for 5 or 6 years without any problems. I don't think we have ever had a big argument or anything. I mean, you can still argue about things, but it's never really like problems to a certain degree. But It's very difficult to find, right? And once you find this, I think before you jump any endeavor, and what I've read, what I've learned is like you need these 3 superstars in your business when you want to build something that you can rely on. And I've also always tried to do things on my own, which just realized you need to have those people because you can't do everything on your own.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the conclusion I've come to, even though I would disagree that you actually can do everything on your own, depending on
It's
what your
harder,
goal is
right?
I mean, it depends what your goal is, how much money you want to make, what exactly you're doing to make
True.
money.
Fair enough, yeah.
If you want to make poker content and you want to make money, then you need to work with a company that can sponsor you.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to make money is to sell sponsors. So if you want to make $1 million, then you need to figure out who can pay you $1 million, and then how do I get my content or the deal or the proposal or the offer to a level where a company would want to pay me $1 million. So in that situation, you can't do that by yourself. So if your goal is to make money, then that's one case. You have to make money through ad revenue. So you have to devise a different strategy, which is going to be based on views and based on driving a lot of attention to your channel. And then That way you don't need to sell ads because now you're making enough money from your ad revenue. And then if you work in merchandise and you work in products and services, training, stuff like that, you know, you can start to build a strategy out where you can do it all on your own, right? Let's say all you do is live streams and you have a training product and you got a membership and you're able to get a lot of people signed up for both. Then now you're able to make $5, $10, $20,000 a month for yourself, and you got a $240,000 business a year that all you got to really do is just keep making content and keep kind of trying to innovate, be exciting, be interested, be in your community, right? All challenging things as a content creator, but a lot of people have been proven to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, right, is it easier to have an editor and all that kind of stuff? I mean, of course, right? So you got to find the people who can help you sustain that. And
yeah,
I guess it's a good, kind of depends on, like I said, what kind of level of quality you want, which money you want to make, who you want to work with, and all that kind of thing. So it opens up a lot of other questions.
By the way, everyone just tuning in, we didn't even do a proper intro. We went just right into it. Joey Ingram here today on the podcast, talking about live business, poker, and everything else that comes up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. We keep track on the chat. More and more people are joining, and yeah, super excited that Joey took the time here today. So give him a warm welcome. Give him some love that he's taking his valuable time here today for our community to answer you guys' question and talk about everything that whatever comes up, right? So yeah, we're just talking about some of the deals that Joey is, or some of the projects he's been working on. Would you say it's similar to what Doug, and I think it's and one of his partners with a lodge?
Well, but basically the lodge is more of a
or they bought a room, right?
Yeah, it's a poker room in Texas. So it basically has it. I mean, it could the brand can go outside of that, right? But it's only a poker room. So what I'm looking forward to, I mean, ideally, right? Let's say that would be potentially something like that. But I don't think I want to operate the casino. Like I want to have other people who are operating the place. But it's a similar kind of concept, right? Of what those guys are doing with the lodge, with Brad, Andrew, and with Doug. Yeah.
And you said you took some time off Twitter, social media, so you cut out some distractions to look on these deals. Like, how did you spend most of your time for the last couple of months? Have you also been investing some time in like learning some business related stuff? Like, maybe let me narrow it down. Like, what were the biggest learnings for you over the last couple of months?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I basically study every single day. Most of the day I'm studying. I'm like taking in information. I'm meditating. Most of the day, I'm just sort of trying to get really clear on what I want my life to be, what I want my vision to be, if it's going to be in poker, if I want to be married, if I want to have kids, if I want to live in Vegas, if I want to be in a completely different world together, like what kind of, and I'm building out my investment vision because I never really got that interested in investing until during the coronavirus stuff. So yeah, basically the last few months, it's a combination of that combined with spending a lot of time with a lot of different people, going out to a lot of events, just figuring out who I like, who I want to work with, and trying to manage all that with the RYE thing, RYE versus Garage stream that went down as well.
That escalated quite a bit, didn't it? Huh?
Yeah, I mean that was something.
Your
so, I mean, I
streams
feel
were
like I've been
crazy.
doing a lot. You know, I feel like I'm a man on a mission. You know what I mean, Ben? I'm used to 24 tabling 16 hours a day. Like, to be honest, this real world stuff to me seemed like something that I should be able to figure out if I put in that same effort, same energy, that same time to what I put in with my online poker career and my content career. So I'm just sort of firing a lot of bullets out in a lot of directions, man. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of good results back. So I'm just taking this strategy and I'm gonna see what happens, man. I'm experimenting right now with a new approach. So we'll see how it turns out.
Sounds like you're trying to figure out a lot of things at once right now. So maybe let's keep it a bit more private. You're talking about family, kids, marriage. Like, what are your plans for that for the next couple of years?
Well, every woman want to have a family. So the girl I've been seeing, she obviously, she ready to have a kid. She ready to settle
so you have
down,
a girlfriend right now?
Yeah, my girl Alice. Yeah, we getting things figured out right now. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, we getting things figured out right now. We kind of had some issue happen during the RYE versus Garage stream. I took a long time off. I mean, it took a long time off from really spending time with her. I was like streaming 12 hours a day. And you know, my life changed a lot now, and I'm working. My new ambition for my life is different than when I met her. I was just studying every day and just being peaceful. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't doing poker content. I was just doing investing and learning every single day. So my life was a lot different when I'm working with poker, with content, with events, with casino, with going out in Vegas all the time, with hanging out with a lot of people. My life is very different. And, you know, I kind of want to find a partner who can be a part of those events, be a part of the plans that I have for the future. And, so yeah, so I'm figuring out if this situation with her is the right situation for both of us, right? For what she wants, for what I want, and I think we're learning that right now.
I wish you all the best with that. I hope you find a good way for both of you. Do you intend to stay in Vegas? Do you feel good in Vegas, living in Vegas? Do you have other places in mind? If so, which?
Yeah, bro. Vegas is like such an iconic place to be. It's like my favorite place to be.
Oh, really? Okay.
You can't want to like I get so inspired when I go to the casinos, when I walk through, when I see the thoughtfulness, when I see the presentation, when I see the setup, when I see the experiences that the casinos are providing for people. So I love it here. I think it's great here. I probably ideally would have a place here, have a place somewhere else as well too, maybe LA or New York City or
Maybe Europe?
um Europe. I could see Europe, like Lake Como, something like that in Italy. I could see something like that. I haven't put a ton of thought into internationally. I'm kind of like building out
Mm-hmm.
my American sort of thesis. And also like I'm waiting for the financial system changes to kind of come. And obviously we're seeing a lot of that now with crypto and with where the world's going with everything. I mean, it's another topic for another time. But yeah, I thought about that. Yeah, Vegas can be overwhelming if you don't really embrace it. If you
That's
don't get out
true.
of the house, go to the
That's
park,
true.
go to the mountain, right? You gotta disconnect from the stone, you gotta disconnect from the gambling, from the lights, from the sounds, and you gotta get outside the house and go to the fucking lake. That's what meditation helped for a lot, right? You're into that. Meditation, sound therapy, light therapy, all those kind of things really help you keep your mind
Mm-hmm.
in a decent place, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I tuned it back a little bit. Definitely, I used to be um, way more hardcore on that. I'm trying to meditate every day. That's a non-negotiable for me. It's just having those 5 to 20 minutes of like, all right, this is just for me. And usually it's not the meditation itself, but how it translates in every single situation when gets chaotic and messy. That just being able to stay calm and zoom out and like, all right, chill out.
Mm.
Um, and this is where it really has helped me. And of course, in poker, right? When others would start to tilt, you know what it means to be mindful. You know what it means to be present in the moment, to observe yourself. To also, like, it might sound weird. I don't know if you have that, but sometimes I'm a very competitive person. So I am the only situations where I'm about to tilt is when I'm really hard on myself, when I did mistakes. And the way that works for me, what I've learned through meditation is that this is actually a good thing. If I wouldn't have had this competitive nature, I would probably suck at bankroll management. I wouldn't take my finances so serious. I wouldn't be so diligent about my routine. So like there are a lot of good things. And like every good thing that you have like will also ultimately come with something bad. If you're a competitive person, if you're very disciplined, like a lot of these good things that a lot of people wish they would have in their lives, it will also lead to a lot of frustration and anger and almost tilt when you fuck up because you're overly hard on yourself. But if that's not wouldn't be the case, you wouldn't be so disciplined, you wouldn't be so competitive, you wouldn't have high standards in your life, right? So there's where I kind of like talk to myself. It's like, there's the competitive Ben, you know? It's like, and then the moment you give it this kind of like childish kind of attention, you're like, you pet it a little bit, little competitive Ben wants to come on. It's like, it's all right. Like,
Mm.
it's totally fine, you know? And I think everyone needs to find a way to cope with that, whatever it is. But something I've also learned through get great mentors, like whatever, all the positive traits you have very often come with a price in certain situations. And when you recognize that when you have a bad moment, usually it results from the good things, right? It's like, okay, this is the price I have to pay, you know, it's all right.
Mm. you have an example of something? Because I mean, I could see what you're saying, but maybe you have an example of a price you feel like you've had to pay that led you to this good thing, what you perceive as a bad thing, or a price or a sacrifice. Because I used to think the same thing, so I'm curious if you have an example of to
Hmm.
kind of get a better idea.
Yeah, like this, just being overly competitive and being hard on myself. That sometimes I would also go to bed
What does
and.
that mean? Like to get the session end, you made a play that you thought was bad.
Mhm.
What is the how does that manifest itself, right? Because now you're saying you're being hard on yourself. Like, well, what are you doing? Like, how does
I'm
that?
it goes to an extent where I'm still beating these games. I need to study harder. Um, I'm not winning anymore. Like these crazy fucked up thoughts. You're winning a poker for 10 years consistently. And then one session, it's like, dude, you have missed something. There's a new trend. There's a new meta. People exploiting you, right? Like, this just, you haven't worked hard enough. And this can be quite frustrating if you don't know how to deal with that. And I've also had a lot of students. Usually, poker players are very competitive from nature. So a lot of players have problems with that. But once I learned, just, all right, that's cool. That's who I am, and there's nothing bad about it. The most what I did wrong for a lot of times, like I thought it's bad, but who says that this is bad? It's just the way you perceive it and the kind of energy you give it. And I'm literally internally talking to myself, oh, little Ben being overly competitive, it's fine, and it doesn't make it completely disappear, and it comes back, but just it makes it easier. It makes it easier to cope with, and we all, like, everyone has different fucked up thoughts and worries and anxieties, and most of it, it's not that bad if you just give it a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? Is it this what you were aiming for? And also in business, like if we have a bad month, I'm like, ah man, I should have maybe, took a little bit more time with one of our partners or employees and maybe worked harder there and did this. But someone like, dude, you gotta chill out. Like you can't control everything.
Yeah, I mean, listen, well said, right? Well said. I think for me, I never like I used to have a problem with some of that stuff earlier in my career where I think what you're saying about being hard on yourself is like normal. So I
Hmm.
look at that as the way that you stay as a great player and you beat other great players is you have to think that way every day. So if you're not thinking that way every day, then to me, like you're probably like those are questions that are good questions. You're saying like, oh, I'm being hard on myself. I would say like that's super standard because the only way to me, you're gonna stick around for 50 years and be able to at least keep competing in the market that you're in is to keep trying to figure out how you keep getting better. Like, how do I keep getting better? How do I keep improving? How do I try to understand? In poker, right? It's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, well, now with the programs, it's literally easier than ever to go over your hands, figure out where you made a mistake, plug your hand in there, and just drill through that spot to ensure that when you encounter that situation in the future, whether it's on the turn, on the river with a certain part of your range, that you have a better understanding of how to at least break it down, think about it, and you can basically drill that spot hundreds of times now with some of these programs out there. So the way that I think about this has been slowly changing as I've been getting more comfortable with me and my great solvers out there that are basically like the fucking god mode tools out there. I've never seen anything like it. So I would say that a lot of what you're saying is like great things to ask yourself. How can I get better? How can I make what how can I improve my mental game? Like where am I leaking at right now? Am I leaking emotionally? Am I leaking my mental game? Am I leaking my recovery? Am I leaking my strategy? Am I leaking my game selection? And being very self-aware of what exactly makes a good winning poker player and being very self-aware of the qualities that it takes and then being able to identify in yourself how you interact with those qualities. That's what makes a long-time professional poker player. So to me, you have to figure out these things. You have to be asking these questions and that's how you stick around for 15 years, for 10 years. So to me, it sounds like being hard on yourself is like what allows you to be so fucking good at the game, and that should be something that I would celebrate versus saying like
Yeah, but it's not
it's a
that
bad
easy.
thing. I think it's a great thing.
That's true, but you also need to learn to understand that it is actually a good thing, right? And usually and I learned it, by today I understand that, and it's, as you said, it should be standard, it should be normal. But I can tell you, at least from my experience, when I work with poker players or other poker players, poker friends, they are not, and they make it incredibly hard on themselves to the point where some of them are even burning out. And yeah, just this kind of understanding that there's like hundreds of millions of people out there that wish they would have your work ethic, your discipline, when it comes to bankroll management, when it comes to study routines. It's like, how many people are there? Oh, I'm not motivated. I don't know where to go. I gambled off my money again. Like, I punted off my bankroll, punted off here, no discipline here. Like, a lot of people would happily trade that against your worries of being overly competitive. And I think if you start seeing it from that angle, it's not that bad anymore that you have those moments where you're overly hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's bad at all. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not like, I think it's great. Like, fuck, man, I'm always critiquing like my strategy. I'm always thinking about, okay, well, what am I doing? What could I get better? Like my investment strategy, I'm studying that 9 hours a fucking day. I'm studying what is money, like what's the history of money, what is energy, what has value created, like what is the financial system, like how does this shit work? I'm in the lab every fucking day trying to become a god at this fucking game out there, right? Is someone gonna say that's a bad thing? Maybe, but I think that is what it takes to succeed at what you're doing. Is you got to do those things. You got to lock in. You got to be focused, and you got to have a clear vision on where it is you're trying to get to. And if you don't have those things, then you're probably going to struggle, or it depends on what your life situation is, what your family's like. If you got a rich family, figure it out. But really depends on your other circumstances in life.
Why are you meditating? Is it something for you? Is there something specific that you're working on? Is it just to keep up the, just the self-aware? Like, what is it? Why are you meditating?
Okay, perfect. So with meditation, I basically, when I studied about how to get out of depression. So
what did you say?
How to get out of depression.
Okay.
So I was like heartbreak with my ex-girlfriend, and it was a big catalyst why I took a long break. So I started studying programming, which is kind of like related to media. How does media program our mind? And I started saying, okay, well, how would I, like, okay, so I feel this way. Why do I feel this way? And then Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about, because when you wake up, you got a lot of your thoughts in your mind, right? Time is not real. So you wake up and your thoughts are in the past. So when you constantly focus on the past, it allows you to live in the past, and then you're not creating any new thought patterns or feelings or moments, and then you're experiencing the same thing over and over and over again each day, and that can lead to depression. So if you can reframe your thoughts out of the past, come into the present, and then start to build and create new stories for yourself in the future, then you can start to create a new future for yourself based on that stories and those expectations, those beliefs that you tell yourself. So an important part of being able to control those stories and to be able to get into your subconscious has to do with meditation and with using different frequencies, using different visualization exercises, and essentially reprogramming the beliefs you have about yourself or your story, your expectations, and reframing like the stories that have your current moment feeling whatever it is that you're feeling. So meditation said that that's the important part of being able to control your mind. So that's why I got obsessed with meditation. I started doing it for hours a day. And
what was the longest?
What was the longest? About 4 or 5 hours.
What?
Yeah. I did this crazy one where I basically, so like I said, there's these certain frequencies that, whether you want to believe them or not, I mean, I don't know. I'm just going with what they say.
Yeah.
Like 888s for abundance, 528s for like healing the body. Because basically the music that they put up is in a certain frequency. So those frequencies, they have a certain reaction to your body. They like change the makeup of your body, allegedly, right? They got tests. I mean, listen, it really depends on what you're going to believe here. So like I said, I'm experimenting with some new ideas. So, okay, I'm saying, all right, well, you put on a certain frequency and then you calm your body and you meditate to the sound. And there's a lot of these things like sound baths, it's called, where it's more of a spiritual thing, or whatever. I don't even know what this stuff's called, right? I went to a few of these sound baths. I was like, this is a great time. I never felt so great. I just feel so great after I do it, Ben. I can't help it. So one time I was like, fuck it. Let me lock the fuck in here. Let me take 2 edibles and let me see where my mind goes. And that's when I did like the 5-hour one. So
sick.
That was, it was pretty sick.
I guess you read his book, Superhuman.
I haven't read his book, but I've listened to a lot of his takes, and he basically changed my life with the depression theory.
Yeah. Listen, I discovered this book. I also discovered him on YouTube. And I was like 3 years ago, I was like, fuck it. I read it once, but I found it so valuable that I just didn't want to read it. I want to fucking understand and learn it. I grabbed that book, packed my stuff, went to Iceland in a cottage, deleted all the social media, studied this book for a week, swam with the seagulls in the morning in the fucking winter, just reading this book, doing this 1 or 2 hour meditations. It comes also with some audio shit. Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's just really hard to implement that into your daily routines. I mean, I don't have the time to get up and meditate for an hour, because I also want to do a workout. I want to, also here and there cook. And it's like,
this is perfect, Ben. I'm going to tell you the reframe I came up with for this, right?
Okay.
So I was listening to this. So some of these people talk about that, like the concept of hard work is something that we impose on ourselves, and instead of working harder, we can work smarter by getting more clear with this is a theory, right? So we get more clear on what our vision is, and we can make more progress and get more clear mentally. And by spending that time to prepare each day and get ourselves in that alignment, then we actually, the hour you spend gets you farther ahead than the hour of work that you do.
Yeah.
So this is a theory. I said, well, that makes sense, right? Because I've been busting my fucking ass for a long time. I've been working so hard. I've been grinding my dick off. Bro, listen, I gave my adult life, the great game of poker. Obviously, you have too. You've been locked the fuck in for a long time, kid. But I've been, since I was 21 years old, I've been doing this thing. So to me, when I'm saying like, damn, maybe there's something to this, right? Like, how do you scale time? How do you scale energy? How do you make 100 times more money, but do 100 times less work, right? It's just about the actions that you take and the way that you structure the deals and the way that you structure these things out in your life. And I realized, like, well, if I get more clear on that, it's going to have more of an effect on my life and where I want to be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, the present moment, than me thinking that I need to put in more volume to my work. So it was a way that I kind of reframed out of that. And so far, it seemed like it's been going pretty well. So I'm testing these new things out.
Great. I'm surprised. You always surprise me. It's a topic, and I felt like you were also a bit careful, believe it or not. The book seems quite scientific to me, at least the research and the studies they've quoted in that book. It's I don't know. It's of course something where a lot of people think it's just some hippie shit, right? Some esoteric horse shit that has no essence behind it. I just can recommend everyone try it out, right? And see for yourself and see if it works for yourself. The Power of Human Nature. Just started reading. It's a gem.
Well, I realized like a lot of the beliefs, like someone's going to try to impose their beliefs on you, or they're going to try to project their own understanding about a topic or a subject onto you. So it's up to you to decide if you're going to let those opinions define you. So just because someone says that this is esoteric or not real or whatever, I mean, it seemed like from all the things I've been learning is that what you expect to be true about an idea is what ends up being true. So obviously it don't seem like it's going to go that way for a lot of things, right? I tend to keep my thoughts pretty like for the good of the world, right? Like I'm sure some people would, have manifest dangerous thoughts, some might deem evil thoughts, right? Like a lot of my things are more about like, let's everybody have a good time, everybody live a good life, like everybody try to live the life they want to live. They want to be healthy, be healthy. If they want to be out of line, they be out of line. Like it's up for everybody to make their decision and then deal with the personal responsibility that comes from those decisions that each person makes. So that's sort of how I'm thinking about it right now. And I don't know, Ben, it's an interesting time, man.
Have you ever tried breath work?
Yeah. No. You've done that probably, right? You seem like you got you deep in the lab.
I was doing the guy that also prepares. It's Lucas Mack. He's from Australia, New Zealand. Sorry, and he's working with a lot of celebrities. And it's actually I followed his journey right from the start, and he was also manifesting all that stuff. And it was while I was following in his journey, like from private clients, a lot of online sessions. He started then working with Jake Paul. Who has Logan or Jake? I think with both of them he worked.
Jake, he worked with Jake. I think he worked with Justin Bieber a little bit too, or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Prepared him for his fights, and you saw all these pictures when they sit in the ring, visualizing, doing the breath work, and I was doing his course and then doing his daily routines. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. And I started back then with Wim Hof. And the very first time I remember, I was doing the 30 breath intake, inhales and exhales, and then holding your breath. I managed to like 3 minutes and 15 seconds for my first attempt. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, we're always doing it in the summer, right? We're swimming at the pool, maybe we're little, we're trying out. Maybe you can hold your breath for 45 seconds. If you're a non-smoker, maybe a minute. And I was like, dude, this was 2.5 minutes. I was like, I'm fine, right? And today I'm not practicing it regularly. I'm still trying to do it a couple of times a week. And like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. When I have bad sleep, 1.5 minutes easy. Like and also the cold shower is like so much more bearable. Like literally at moments I went under the cold shower, and after 15 seconds, 30 seconds max, the water started feeling warm because your body starts heating it up so fast. And yeah, I really love the breath work. I've also doing private sessions with Lucas, and dude, I had some weird fucking energy flow where he was recording me, and I was literally like this, you had these spasms, and they're actually good. It releases a lot of energy and trauma and emotions. And afterwards, I was like, during the sessions, I felt so fucking high. I was like floating around my apartment. My girlfriend was like, what the fuck is going on with you? And it was a great, I don't know, what was it, like 8 weeks, 12 weeks that we worked together. And we had like one session every 2 weeks or something. And you do this breathing for 60 minutes, like a 2-hour session, just 60 minutes. You do that heavily breathing. And he was always recording. I didn't remember most of the shit that I went through. I was looking on the footage. I was like, what the fuck happened? And it was a bit scary, but it's completely safe, at least for me, and also what he claims. And it was a great experience because a lot of problems you have, and you just work them through, and it was an epic experience. I can highly recommend, like, whatever it's Wim Hof or their O2 awakening breath work stuff. Like, there's a lot of different techniques, but essentially they all achieve the same.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder exactly what they're doing to your body that, like, I wonder what it, let's say you get to that state, you do it for an hour, you do it for 2 hours. Like, how does that change your body, change your reality, your health moving forward once you start to do that? Like, I wonder what the reasoning behind that is. I got to check it out, because I've heard people talk about the breath work, and it helps them. They can hold their breath long, or they can go in cold, turn it to heat. But like, does that make you live longer, or is that supposed to make your body stronger against disease, or like, is it more for fun, or more just to get high, or you know what I mean? I wonder why.
I would embarrass myself if I would try to explain it scientifically. So just look it up. There's a lot of benefits to that. And then once I started, I started pretty early on, I would say like 5-6 years ago. And I was researching this shit, and I was like, fucking hell, if there's just a little bit truth in it, this is just the ultimate. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the study or this experiment they did with Wim Hof, where, Wim Hof, right?
I know him a little bit. Yeah, I've seen him on Instagram, and I've seen him on some of the podcasts before. I don't know specifically. Like, I know he's all about breathing and extreme challenges, going outside, take his shirt off a lot, you know what I mean? But I don't really know much about what exactly he's teaching.
And once in the Netherlands, I think he's originally from the Netherlands, and he broke all these records, like running a marathon in the Sahara. He climbed up the Mount Everest in his shorts and all that kind of shit, like crazy achievements. And they wanted to understand why. And they injected him with some sort of virus or bacteria that you usually get a cold from, right? And nothing happened to him. And then they thought, okay, this guy is like exceptional, superhuman, whatever. He has crazy genes. And then he said, well, let's try it out with all my students. And he taught them the basic fundamentals of breath work. And none of them developed the symptoms of a cold. They all stayed healthy, where a normal human being would have gotten sick or developed the symptoms. They all stayed fine. And I think you can look it up on YouTube. I mean, I know, like, in these days, you never know what the fuck is fake and what not, but it looks pretty legitimate. And I mean, if you follow Wim Hof, like, and you try it for yourself, there's definitely some truth in it.
Listen, I'm in. I'll try anything. Why not?
Yeah. And especially it's even more powerful for me than meditation, because it changes your nervous system and hyperoxygenates your body. And especially when I'm stressed or I'm not feeling well, like it brings me in such a better state within like 3 or 4 minutes doing that breath work, and just feels awesome. And also the meditations are going way deeper afterwards. Like usually I do it for 3, 4, 5 minutes and then I meditate for 10 seconds. It just sometimes feels like flying.
So it's like a way to reframe out of a reaction in your body.
Yeah, you're present. You're really present. It's like just pure peace.
Yeah, I tried building out a new language to get me present, because I found that when you, like, a lot of the English language is taught to us and we're imposed these beliefs and words by the education system. So we start to think these words and ideas mean a certain thing. So my theory was, well, what if you just made up your own words and you basically attached feelings or ideas or like a representation in your mind of what that thought or feeling or idea or symbol could be. So I tried to build this out as my own reframe when I felt like, as a defense system, right? So like these defenses, it's like in my mind, you visualize it like it's like a military strike. When the thought or idea comes into your mind and you're starting to feel yourself get a little bit, especially playing poker, right? If you're starting to want to tilt a little bit. Yeah, this basically help you to stay locked in, help you stay present, like not really be affected by the swings unless you really want to be, you know what I'm saying? Like it's really so for me in poker, for dealing with any sort of emotion like that, except with my adventurous Japanese girlfriend, with her, I got to remember to fucking breathe. But maybe I'll try Wim Hof next time, Ben. With her, maybe it don't work out, so maybe I got to keep working this idea.
Yeah, that's a good point with using the right language. I'm about to sneeze. 1 second. Oh, it's not coming. Oh, that's so tilting when it doesn't. With a language, I've discovered this also with myself. I remember with poker, like I would specifically write down how I want to play, and sometimes you catch yourself with absolute bullshit reasoning to make certain plays just to justify something. And I remember Olivier Busquet made one of my all-time favorite tweets where he was breaking it down and in very simple words of, yeah, you spend all these out. I still have it here actually on my, like here. That's a tweet of his. Again, you study and you learn. These are the best combos to call with. These combos block these value hands. These combos unblock these bluffs. Great. You're excited to use what you've learned. Then you play and nobody ever bluffs. And just like, because I realized the tournament as well, like you're so stuck in the solver world and you just play these spots where people never end up bluffing, especially when there's a lot of money at stake, and just getting rid of all this solver toxicity. And sometimes, you see people, or you meet people where their words, their language really much resonates with you. It stucks, right? And I played a little bit, it's like, oh, I'm going to remember his words. It's so great. And then you play, you forget about after I actually wanted to remember his words. So I was like, fuck this. I print this out and put it right in front of my screen, right? So I cannot forget it. And I think language is so important, especially when you find someone or something that you really resonate with. It's so important. Just listen to your gut feeling. And I think it's similar to what you mentioned with Dr. Joe Dispenza, the kind of frequency. I felt like that was exactly my frequency I was resonating with. The way he talks, the kind of language he was using, the punctuation, everything. Even though it was just a fucking tweet, I was like, that's what I needed, right? And just print it out, put it somewhere, remind yourself. And then you will also start talking to yourself like this on a constant basis. And that's some good shit. And sometimes like I print this out when I read something or like a book. I put it somewhere and like have my board over there and something I don't want to forget. I think, but most people think, it's so simple, right? It's so simple, it's so small. I mean, it's one of the biggest lies we're being told, right? It's not so simple, but actually it is simple.
Yeah, you're speaking about like affirmations and really programming an idea into your mind. It's kind of like, how do you learn anything? You learn it through repetition and reframing it and consistent exposure to the idea, to the thought, whatever it is, whether you want to think about it negatively or positively, or being in an upswing, being in a downswing, whether it's a tweet, an idea that comes out of a strategy or a theory that you feel like you just can't fucking get over. I mean, I got a thing like that right here. So my girl at the time basically made me this checklist of things I have to do, right, during my session, because I had the same problems, right? So she's like, all right, let me like make this, block the websites, okay. And I told her I would mix 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, 5, 10, 10, 20 together. I would just like, mix stakes too much. She's like, all right, just only play 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6. Don't start loading in. You can load up higher stakes. You don't really need to. It's not like it really ain't gonna change much. So if you just focus on these stakes, you keep with the volume in, you're gonna win. You're gonna find good games. Like just keep focusing on that. Don't overkill it. If you play for a long time, the play should be effective. So it's really easy once you get into a long session, 7 hours in, 8 hours in, to just fucking keep playing and not book a win, not look for a spot you fall out of flow, not look for a spot you start to feel your emotion come up in your body, and you just say, fuck it, I'm going to kind of grind through it, and I'm going to keep moving. I know I'm going to kind of get out of this soon. So, yeah, just affirmation. I mean, I can go through it if you want, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here. Not about looking at your graph, not tilting, remembering you the best grinder. Shout out to her. Don't distract yourself with other things. Don't look at your phone. You're not watching anything else. You're not talking to any other people. You're not going on Twitter. You're locking the fuck in. You're focusing on play only, the players only, the strategy only.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got a lot of these breaks. Obviously, drink a lot of water, stay hydrated. A lot of good stuff in here. Take an Adderall. I mean, listen, everybody, you get Adderall. So
I've never tried it. I'm not a big fan of taking anything artificial, though. So I'm the wrong guy to talk about that.
I'm retired from Adderall for a while. For me, only edible now for me, and I do miss Adderall a lot. It's basically a god mode drug, but I'm pretty much convinced it's all mental. So I think that I can have some great effects without it, and it'll be better off for me long term.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I don't think it's that common in Europe, Adderall. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know a lot of poker players that have been using it?
Not really. I mean, I don't really have a conversation about with people a lot if they use Adderall or not.
Yeah.
It's not like you go around and you're like, oh, are you like taking Adderall?
Mm.
It's just not a very common thing I'd bring up. So I don't know many people that are using it. Someone said my Adderall feeling that I'm actually not. I don't use it much anymore at all. I haven't used it in a while. Like, believe me, I'd love to use it. I just feel like it's negatively impacting my health, so I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
But I would love to. I think it locks you in real hard, on Adderall. It makes you get a lot of things done, help you stay focused. But meditation helps out a lot with that as well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm still surprised when people actually message me and it's like, hey Ben, like, what do you think about meditation? But maybe it just doesn't reflect the majority. But I feel like, I mean, in these days, so much is being talked on social media and free sources that are available for free. That makes me wonder, how do people spend most of their time when you literally can get a free education on YouTube on all these different things and topics, and just, I don't know, like, people consume so much shit, and it's all out there, like a lot of the stuff that you can try out. And I wish just people would utilize social media and all the information that are available in a more smarter and efficient way.
Yeah, it's kind of like a diet. It's like eating food, Ben.
True.
When you eat food, you take content in. I used to call it like garbage in, garbage out. The content you consume becomes your thoughts, beliefs, your ideas, what you're influenced by consciously and subconsciously. So the thing is, like, it's all subjective. If you deem like me watching Kardashians as a negative, and I like it, then you can go fuck yourself. So it's like, when you say, oh, I wish you were like watching it, training for your career, or like eating better food, or like in the water, like, everybody got their own opinion on everything. So just because somebody thinks that one way is healthy and one way is not healthy, like, I'm not as critical on other people about that. I try to worry about just myself. All right, I want a good diet. I want to drink a lot of water. I want to take care of my mind, my body, my soul. So that's sort of how I structure it in my own head. And I know if I consistently do these habits each day, that I will be, in my mind, taking care of those things, taking care of those areas. And other people might not believe that. They might not want to do it. They might not have the capability to do it, or whatever. I'm not doing as much coaching. You're doing a lot of coaching, so you got to worry about this shit a lot.
I barely do any private. I barely do any coaching right now.
Much? You seem like you like a beast. You don't even not even a VIP.
I have a few. I have one or 2, max 3 at the time, what I would call VIPs. Yeah. I don't even have the time anymore, and usually it has to be someone who is, I would say, almost high stakes or very convincing student on low mid stakes. But usually it's people that are already on the very, very top that I'm working with, and because it's just with RaiseYourEdge and Acend, it's just I don't have the time, and then I still want to grind Sundays, and then usually when you grind the entire night, European grind schedule is not the greatest. Also want to spend a lot of time with my girlfriend, and in RaiseYourEdge we have like 10, 15 people if you include the coaches, maybe 20 people. In Acend we are like almost 50 people with all the players, so like there's a lot of problems that you need to tackle as entrepreneur, and then with lawyers and accountants and sponsors and brands and meeting here, meeting there, it adds up every single day. And then I want to keep my courses updated, create content, video, fire out some banger tweets, and yeah, it's just a lot of work. And I love to read, I still want to take care of myself, do workouts and shit, and like enjoy that. And just like private coachings don't have the highest priority for me there. It has to be someone where I also see a lot of value for myself, that I enjoy working with, that I'm excited for, that I can maybe also learn something from that person. And I think that's also how every coach should treat it, that you should be very selective, because only then both can really learn. And you should not take every single student on just for the money. You should be extremely hard, extremely selective. If you feel like someone is not getting 100% value from that money that they invest, you should never take on a student. I would say 95% of the requests I'm rejecting, probably even more.
I would say that is unique to you or me, maybe, right? Like, I get, if I say I'm going to coach someone at poker, coach someone at content, I'm doing a lot of content coaching. I've basically been advising people for years. I've been helped all my friends build up big channels. Like, basically when it comes to social media, how to do that, like, to me, it's just you do it for 10 years, you build up channels, you get real good at it, you start coaching a lot of people, you start to get better at it. So me, I'm like, okay, well, I could take on students there, but like certain people they can pick, they got that luxury, they're able to do that. Other people maybe not able to pick, maybe not able to have that same luxury. So I guess for me, I'm not because I've worked with a lot of people in the past. I used to do a lot of coaching. I used to do a lot of I had like a mastermind group of people where we had 15, 20 guys in there, and everybody that was basically like a coaching in some ways, right? I mean, conversations, coaching, talking, helping people, helping everybody achieve whatever they want to achieve. So I would say that it's interesting, right? Maybe I'm sure that's probably a good point. If you work with someone that you get along with, that you feel like you can learn from, whether it's business, coaching, a partnership, then that's probably theoretically the most efficient use of your time. It would seem like it's an easy thing to assume. I don't know if that's true or not necessarily, because I feel like you could probably learn a lot from working with people that maybe you don't vibe so well with. Because I learn a lot. Like, my biggest lessons have been from my partnerships where the other side, I felt like fucking sucked. And they didn't put an effort. They didn't listen to my ideas. The project that they had was kind of a failure in my eyes. And I learned from the future, like, especially working with talent, like, I can't work with this kind of talent. I need to find a talent who has a certain ambition and a certain drive to get to a certain point in their market with their product or service or quality of what they're doing. And you can, and to me, figure that out by talking, by looking at someone's action, by constant exposure to them. So those things I only learned from working with people who I thought maybe they could be good, maybe not, but then just experimenting with that too. So I found value in both of what you're saying.
Maybe I wasn't clear enough. I'm not saying that I only try to, work with people that it's like 100% agree with. I do work with a lot of people who are completely different. We disagree on a lot of things, creates a lot of traction. You find solutions, you find alternatives, and that what usually gives you the essence, gives you the ground to have something great evolving or emerging from it, right? But it still needs to be like personality trait. Like I always say, you doesn't necessarily need to share the same characteristics, but you need to share the same vision, the same beliefs. And how you get there, you can have different opinions, right? So like, I just try to avoid people where just we don't share the same vision, we don't share the same beliefs, right? Even if we might actually agree on more things than with someone else. And that's just, maybe you can call it being likable or not, but like, I do work with a lot of people that on a lot of things I don't agree with, especially in our esports organization, but we're a great fucking team and we got a lot of shit done. And I think that's super important. Ultimately, if you only have people that you agree with on everything, it's like you don't really create this friction, right? Where you have to think a little bit outside of the box and you will never come up with great ideas. So I think it is a necessity to have that in your team as well, that challenge you to think further, to think around the corner or think outside the box. So yeah, I would agree with the way you have phrased it. But if there's someone I just don't like, I don't agree with his vision, I don't agree with his beliefs, it's not going to work out. You know, I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, right? Because kind of the vision about where you want to get, like when you do something with your esports organization, or if you make a piece of content, or if you do an event, like my first event, I have a certain vision for how I want the first event to be. Well, there ain't many partners I can work with in Vegas. I basically want to work with the nicest poker rooms in town. So I'm either going to work with the Wynn, I'm going to work with Resort World, I'm going to work with Aria, and maybe that's it in some ways, right? Like those are the ones I'd be looking to do. So the vision I have for my event is like the fifth event is like the sickest fucking event I've ever seen. The first event is like, let's just make this work. Let's put on a good show. Let's get some great content. Let's make sure people have a good time. And then start to feel it, right? Like I did a big content creator dinner this summer that I thought went great. But first time I did it, I was pretty nervous. I'm like, fuck, like I never really hosted this many people. And once in like a real life kind of thing like that, it was just something I had to get over. And then first time I did it, I can kind of feel it. All right, this worked out well. People pay here. Maybe it's better to get a sponsor. Maybe it's better to prepay. Maybe it's better to have a plan for before and after, so that way you can have a total experience with the people that you're bringing together. So I'm kind of like I'm like an explorer right now, exploring some of these new thoughts, new ideas, new options for what the structure of these things could look like. And so I'm trying to reframe it. I'm trying not to be so like judgmental, trying not to be so critical of my perception of what others can bring to the table and make assumptions that I know everything, because it's real easy poker player to assume that they fucking know what they're talking about. And most times we don't know what the hell's going on, except when maybe it's in a hand of poker. So that's sort of my approach to these new partnerships and these new opportunities is like, let me get in the streets and fucking battle a little bit and see what come out of it, and see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, what you got to do sometimes, right? See what happens. Like with your esports, I mean, you're doing a brand new thing. Seeing what happens, right? Like you don't know what the fuck's gonna go on with your esports organization, and you're figuring out what makes a good esports team, what's your role gonna be, what's your involvement gonna be, and what do you want the business to be. So
yeah. No, for sure. The good thing, what RaiseYourEdge has taught me is how to create content, how to create courses, and what esports has taught me, how to be a good salesperson. You have to pitch your vision, your beliefs to a lot of brands. I mean, life is essentially all about selling. If you go to an application, to a job interview, you have to sell yourself, right? It's everything where you're trying to get and raise money, convince people, business deals. You are selling yourself. You're selling your vision, your ideas, who you are, the way you are, everything. Everything is about selling yourself and selling your ideas. And this is something where, especially coming from poker, I was like, I'm just going to create great content, like courses, like I know my shit, I know my knowledge. And in esports, I didn't have that reputation. I haven't built like amazing success in esports. So it was a new industry for me. And it was more about convincing others that we can do that shit, right? Whether it's new teams that we sign, dealing with agents of the players and of the teams, contract renegotiations, brand deals, and I got rejected a lot of the time. And I said, all right, what went wrong? Let's look into it. Let's learn. Let's improve. Let's do some research. Let's learn some new stuff. Let's team up with some people, get expertise in, learn from them. All right, they probably don't know their shit. They're just scammers. Let's go get someone else involved. You also meet a lot of wrong people, and you just got to stay sharp and reduce the chances of being fucked over. And it's just, and especially when you're in the industry, and poker was easier because I could say, like, here, like I'm still playing the high stakes, and I'm having a lot of buy-ins and still a lot of deep runs and final taping the 10K or whatever, and people can see that I probably know something in poker. But in esports, where you don't have the reputation, where you start from scratch, you gotta step up your ability to sell shit. That's just the way it is. And that's why sometimes I feel like people are like these salespeople and like, well, that's the world we're living in. You might agree or disagree with, but if you want to be successful, you want to make some money, if you want to build some wealth, financial freedom, it's very likely, not in every industry, not in every business, maybe there's something, even if you're a streamer, even if you're a content creator, you're selling yourself, right? You're selling your content, and it needs to be in a way that it's attracting people, that makes it interesting and curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, if you want to make it a profession, if you want to make a living, if you want to, some people theory, right? Everybody say the world's all about selling. It's all about trying to influence people, trying to get them to do what you want them to do. And in business, we need to be selling ourselves. If you're the founder of a company, you're raising money, you're sharing your vision, you're building your partnerships, you're handling your organization, you're working on your marketing, you're basically doing all hands on deck. So if you're talking about when you're in poker, you have a certain reputation and you have a certain expertise. So when you put that expertise into a product or service, it's going to be usually a pretty high quality product or service because you know exactly what you're doing and you know how to help others get better at what it is that they want to do, which is what you're an expert at. So I guess I see what you're saying. Esports, you don't necessarily, you're an expert. You are an expert at esports. I would say you are expert at poker, but maybe in traditional esports world, your role is different. You're not a player. You're more of like a organizational owner, or you're someone that's putting together a team. So those skills are just very, very different. And if you want to earn respect, then you need achievement. No one's going to give you, if you were to play poker and you didn't win anything, no one would think that you know what the fuck you're doing, even if you thought you were a god. So people really only respect receipts. Whether if you're a content creator, you got to build big channels, you got to get engagement, you got to have an audience, you got to have a community. Otherwise, other people are going to look at you and be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, buddy. Same thing in poker. If I say I'm a good poker player and you ask me to toe over a hand, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. You ask me to show you some winning sessions. I can't show you any winning sessions. Like show you a bankroll. Someone can't show you a bankroll. Then that's ultimately the judging factor in terms of if they know what they're saying or not saying. So it seemed like with esports, it's like a part of things where it just comes in time. It comes with the experience. It comes with the achievement. It comes with the building relationships with the right people. And then if you want to make content, sharing your story and everything like that. So it's like a multi-leveled difference in the way you live your life and the perception others have you.
And I would even say I'm good in this, good in selling. I prefer proving with results. So whether it was in poker or in esports, just like getting good teams, dominating, getting good results, just like here, listen, this is what we have to offer. Take it or leave it. I just don't enjoy this whole like kind of sales thing. You need it a bit more than in poker. It's just what it is. Because esports is way more noisy and way more competitive and way more loud. And if you're not loud enough, it's gonna be really, really hard to convince brands to sponsor your organization or to partner up with brands or whatever. And that's super important to make an esports organization sustainable in the long run. You need those partners, you need those sponsors. Same as every football club operates and works in the long term. So, but yeah, ultimately that's also my preferred way of doing it, right? Just the better you are, the better the results. Winning the World Championship last year in Valorant was huge. That was really, really important because that basically showed when we say, hey, we know how to coach teams, we know how to coach players, we know how to scout, we know how to build great teams. We can put results behind that and also in other titles. And it's so much easier than to also convince others of your vision and your dreams.
Right, exactly. Yeah, once you show them that you had success, once you show them that you're serious about it, once you show them that you're basically all the things that you have shown in poker that have allowed you to get to this point. Then once they see that and they hear your words and they see your actions and then they see the actions match with the words, then I wouldn't see why they wouldn't start to believe in you more and want to give you better deals. And you can learn how to deliver value to your sponsors better. Sponsorship is a whole other art in its own in terms of finding the partnership, negotiating the deal, figuring out the best structure, figuring out how to deliver value, figuring out how to solve the problem that they're going for with their sponsorship. And then trying to optimize that relationship, right? That's one thing I think about a lot with some of the upcoming things I have going on.
Yeah,
that's a challenge.
Makes a lot of sense. What are your plans for the last what is it? 2 months of the year?
All right, so basically, right, so WPT has this big event coming up at the Win. It's the first of its kind. It's going to be the It's aiming to be a winter series every year. People can look forward to. They can come out there for it. So it's the first time they did it at the Wynn. The Wynn's one of the top casinos in Vegas. The World Poker Tour is one of the top brands for poker tournaments. They both are real they have a commitment to thoughtfulness and respecting the customer that I particularly love. Wynn's my favorite casino. WPT been one of my favorite brands. So they hired me as an ambassador for this campaign. They've been trying to hire me as a full-time ambassador to join Brad, Andrew, Phil Ivey, Tom Dwan, Steve Aoki. I'm not sure I want to do full-time, but I want to try it out with them. I've worked with these guys in the past. I like a lot of their team on their organization. I've gone out with them a lot. I like all the people working there. I like a lot of people that are running WPT. So I'm going to help them. Basically, I'm calling it Operation Pop the Fuck Off, where they hired me to be ambassador to help promote the event. So somebody doing some great podcasts. We got some podcasts coming up here. We got the great Phil Ivey back on the pod. Brad Owen's going to be on there. He's basically one of the most popular vloggers in the world. He's getting 500,000 views a video. Andrew Nemi, he's been crushing as well too. He's one of the top vloggers as well. So we're gonna do a bunch of podcasts. I got a bunch of good guys coming up. Patrick Antonius is gonna come on there. We might get Doyle Brunson on there. We might get Gus Hansen on there. And then during the event itself, we're doing the sickest meetup game that's been done before, bringing people together. They're getting a chance to play with Phil Ivey. I'm doing my first personal meetup game, the Big Poppy festivities. We're going to be doing a week of high stakes cash games. The high stakes cash games are going to pop off. We might get Beast in the mix. I'll be doing some commentary, hosting for that. I might be doing be able to live stream from the Wynn during the series. I'll be doing a lot of games, playing a lot of high stakes.
Nice.
Out at dinners. I'm basically like taking over the Wynn in 2 weeks, and like I said, they bring me in to pop this thing off. That's what the director of hype, the guy that post on my socials, get everybody excited, make a lot of great content. So that's my thing I'm really working at, and then really trying to crush that, develop that relationship, work more with these guys in the future, and then give a place for the Legion to come have a good time. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that is my main event plan for the next month and a half, is to focus on that. I'm going to start building up my channels a bit more. I'm building some new channels on social media, and I'm driving up all my rate spend. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's the goal. The goal is to deliver a lot of value, and all my rates are going up. So this is the last time a company can be able to get me at this rate. That's
what is your rate?
So I don't know.
Joey, can I leave you alone with the chat for 2 minutes? I really have to go to the bathroom. I'll be back. What have you guys been talking about?
The guy asked me about, do you choose the sponsor that pays you the most, or the other factors in choosing one?
Sorry, say again?
He said, do you ultimately choose the sponsor that pays the most, or are there other factors in choosing one? And the answer is, I don't use the one that pays the most, otherwise I'd have a lot more money. So yeah. I haven't really worked with a lot of people in the past. I only try to work with good companies that try to respect the customer, that try to put up great products that I feel like are aligned with my brand and the message that I put out there, which in the poker world is only a few sites. You can only work with a few companies in America. Like, I don't have any options if I want to work with a poker company. So basically I'd have to branch outside of poker, which is kind of where I'm doing now, which is going more mainstream, finding more mainstream brands. And I think it's going to be an exciting time, Ben. I'm going to tell you that. So I'm pretty excited. I got crazy offers this past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I feel like it's been life-changing for me, really, the people I've met and the opportunity's been presented to me. So I'm excited. I'm figuring that out now, Ben. Who's it going to be? I don't know. We're going to figure it out.
I am very happy for you. That's some exciting times ahead. Have you ever considered partnering up with an online poker site? One of the names that probably everyone is well aware of.
Yeah, I mean, I've considered every option, thought about every one. WPT Global right now, they're one that is pitching me, so I might work with them. And I think they provide a lot of upside long term, because everybody trying to, like right now, Ben, this is like the calm before the storm, where America is coming back. The main opponent of online poker just passed away, Sheldon Adelson. So everything's going to change. More companies are getting into poker. They're all coming back to USA. So it's if you work with a good company, then they can actually provide a lot of value to you, and they can provide you value through giving you capital. They can provide you value through giving you collaborations, opportunities, through production, through unique pieces of content, ideas that they could only provide you. So there is a lot of beneficial upside to work with some of these companies. So that's why now I would potentially do that, but I'm not sure. I know you did that with Pokerstars. How did that go?
Oh, well, it was a great experience. I think one of the main problems was that I was still able to play on other sites and to stream on other sites, one of the few ambassadors. And I guess it just created some sort of like unbalance in the team, you know? Because back then, for me, I said, no matter what the deal is, I will not sign or not even consider going into talks when I'm not allowed to play on other sites. Because that's my bread and butter. And also the schedule, and also for our community, that I'm able to play on all different sites. So we agreed on that I can play on all sites. Of course, I understand that it comes to certain obligations, that I will mostly stream Stars, but I was still able to stream all the final tables on other sites. So essentially, you're not missing out on any big action, right? Because the early game, mid game, it's not so exciting. It's like, that's totally fine. I know there were some plebs complaining about, oh, you can't show early game of GG poker, but it's like, dude, there's enough action on Stars. I'm playing 20, 25 tables on stream. Like, there's going to be enough action. Chill out. And then even I would show final 2 tables, or when the 10K is left, like I would still show action from that, even if it was not the final table. So it was all good. And I think overall, Pokerstars is a great team. And they're really, really working hard. And the problem I see, it just feels like to me that when I compare it with GG, it's like GG is just like trying out so many things. Probably has something to do with regulations. Pokerstars has to be very careful in doing something and trying out things because they obey to certain regulations in every single different country. I guess it's also like just with the rakeback, the new rakeback system that was introduced last year, which I was actually a big fan of. And I said it back then, being under contract. Now I can say whatever I want, and I still say it was. I'm still saying it was a great move. Definitely could have needed some improvements, and as everything, nothing is perfect. But then in certain countries, because of the regulations, they weren't able to offer rakeback. And I think that's exactly the point. It's like, even if they want to introduce a new format, it might transgress certain regulations in, I don't know, Spain. It might be allowed in Germany, but then it's not allowed in Czech. And so everything you do, and in the EU has like, how many, 30 different countries and more, or 40, 50, I don't know the exact number, whatever. It's like, it's a lot of work to do due diligence, to check the regulations. And I just see it with my business when we want to do something that is a cross-border transaction or whatever, and like different, just the VAT that we have to pay in every single country is already a whole mess. And then for Pokerstars, it's even harder. So me seeing that from that point of view, I can understand why it's harder for them to be innovative as GG, because I don't know what their situations with the licenses. Obviously, it's much easier. It feels like, hey, we have this idea. All right, we executed on it. Staking system and software. All right, let's go. Mystery format. All right, let's go. It's just all these things they can execute in no time. And then it's really hard for Stars to compete, right? And again, I'm not saying this because I'm going to contract, because that's what I experienced. And so there was no bad blood or anything. It was just, these were the things. I was like, hey, I fully understand. We're still on good terms. And I've also been to the Isle of Man on Star in Ireland, or in United Kingdom, the Isle of Man, Pokerstars headquarter. And I met the offices, the headquarter, and like saw everything. I was like, fucking hardworking guys that really love poker. And I know from the outside it looks like this huge anonymous big company that just wants to have all the profits, but that's not the case. And of course, they have to be profitable, right? It's a business. They have to pay their employees. They have certain responsibilities to stakeholders, and it's just like it feels different. So I also realized, so not so mad about it. I just I felt like it was really hard to execute on things. Like I had all these great ideas, I want to do stuff, and no matter what the money was, like the money was great, not gonna lie, it was a great opportunity, great deal. I was always a fan of Pokerstars, I'm still am, ever since I started. You know, that's where I built my bankroll. Like, you are a little fanboy, right? It's like back then when you start, oh my god, being a pro for that side, it's like everything you work for, and it's still something makes me super proud and super grateful for Pokerstars that gave me that opportunity. That's just, yeah, feel like they're limited because of that. I cannot go much more into detail just because I'm not.
You wanted to do a specific idea for like the actual in technology changes, like GG ads, formats and stuff. You said, why don't you do that idea? And Pokerstars is like, oh, I can't do that because of this, that. Or is it more like what could you not do with them that you couldn't do on your own? Like if you want to make a piece of content, like you can theoretically do that on your own. You don't need anybody else to really help you out for that. So what was it specifically that, I guess you can't, maybe you can't talk about it, right? You don't want to say about this idea, but is it, maybe it's a general thing. It seems like that's what you're saying. Like you had ideas for how the game could be improved, but a lot of those ideas couldn't necessarily be implemented for a number of different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, just smaller things, content ideas, format ideas, and when you would have a meeting, like just sometimes it needs to go through so many people that by the time you have the idea and by the time it gets executed, that it's not really innovative anymore. And it's just not my style of working. I like it with my teams. I have this idea today. Let's execute tomorrow. Let's try it out. You know, I'm always the try and error guy, very practical. Yes, ideas are important, but execution is more important. And always having a plan to a certain degree. I'm not trying to be too perfectionist. And so yeah, that's why I think we both split away on good terms. And again, like no bad blood or anything. Don't really have anything negative to say about. I know I've seen how they work in behind the scenes. I know how much effort they put in. Also, in the channels I was, when streamers reported, hey, there's an issue with the site, like they got on it immediately, tried to fix shit, and took it very, very serious. And even when I had usually when especially Germans had problems with the software, I tried to bring it up. Sometimes it took some time, but at least like, hey, we got on it, we tried to solve it, and then they reported to some people that might have taken them a little longer. So yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, sounds like you had a fun experience. You learned a lot. I mean, that's how it is to work with a corporation. And don't go how it ain't your fucking job to do any of these things, right? Like, here's what I learned working in a corporation is that you think you know anything, like it don't fucking matter what you know.
Yeah.
Because you got to talk to the right person and get your idea through, and that person got to talk to their person. Someone else is making the strategy. Like, even worrying about all these things, to me, I found it just made the job unstressed. It just didn't make the job fun or interesting because you really weren't in control of anything outside of what your role is. So you might like want to put these things into action, but you don't talk to the CTO. The CTO is designing the software. Like, you're communicating with the guy who's in charge of ambassadors, and then in the meeting, everybody come together in the meeting, and it's a bunch of people that you don't really know. You might not have any influence on. They might have something to do with their people above them, the executives managing them. So the corporate hierarchy and managing the corporate hierarchy and being able to champion your ideas through the whole entire corporation is something that takes a lot of time and belief and energy, and like that's a whole other art on its own too. So I could see if you're used to just doing your own thing, like I'm used to doing my own thing, you're used to doing your own thing, and then once you get in that sort of rigid structure into corporation where you're not really in charge of your own thing, and you don't own the company, and you're not in charge of the company, so everybody else is in charge of the company, they're going to make their own decisions. They've had a plan for a long time. So I could see that it might be some friction to you viewing it that way, but at the same time, like, it isn't something that you said, okay, you don't have any bad feelings, but it's just like whatever for me sort of thing. Yeah. And that probably can learn a lot in the future, and maybe other opportunities going to present itself for you too, where you can learn from those mistakes or learn from the experience and then figure out a way to do it better in the future, or how to treat your own ambassadors or anything like that. There's a lot of things you can take away from that.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you. I was like, this Aveo guy. nice that we have better Joey's podcast. Thanks, Joey, for the guest. But sometimes I like that. And also, you know, you're the kind of guy, usually when I'm also on podcasts myself, that sometimes I start asking the questions, you know, like, because I'm also very curious. And I think it's similar for you, you know, you also like to ask questions, even though you're the guest. I don't even see yourself as a guest. I see you as, you know, we both have the interest in the same things. We want to catch up with stuff, you know, it's like, yeah, I don't really see it as, you know, just two dudes in a room, you know, maybe if we would meet live, we would have a beer or a drink or whatever, go get a lot of light, who knows, and just have a good time, you know.
Yeah, I'd say reason I come on here with you isn't so you ask me a bunch of questions. The reason I come on here with you is so we get to talk, right? I know you like talking, you got a lot of passion, you got a lot of energy, you got a lot of excitement. I mean, I know that, you know, when I first like had, I think you on my show, you were kind of like coming out of the dark a little bit. Like you were starting to establish yourself more. You're starting to make more of a name for yourself. You weren't really an ambassador yet. Raise Your Edge was in the early stages, but I thought you had a very successful foundation with the company you built, and then also with your poker career and the results and kind of like just the passion, energy that you had, and you started making content and you were fucking fired up. And I was like, damn, this guy fired up. Like he really wanted to make a difference in the poker world, and he got people's good intentions at heart. And now you've sort of like gone through a cycle where you did you work with a site, you know, you kind of see how the content game work, you see how poker's developing, you got your own interest developing. So now you're at a different point in your life, right? So I like to hear how you're changing, how you're thinking about it, you know, because it's interesting, right? Nobody really teach you how to do any of this stuff. So you got to figure it out on your own.
Oh, absolutely. Always appreciated having the time with you to catch up. It's been a while. How long? When was the first? Was it 3 years ago already?
I mean, I feel like I just talked to you a lot on IG. So Instagram is so great for keeping up with a bunch of people that you like, which I love. You always posting a lot on there, which is great. So I feel like I keep up with a lot of people. Like I kind of feel like I know what your life is just from following IG, right? Like it's a pretty working out, your relationship, you got the fucking fighting people, a lot of poker, a lot of nature, right? Like, you know, a lot of people's habits generally, if they're succeeding, are going to stay pretty consistent. So you can kind of just follow the journey, see some highlights. I wish it was easier to know like how you're doing at poker. That's the part I don't really like about content creators now, is there's really no easy way for me to know how results have been, which I'm interested in. I'm like a results fan, so I wish that was a little easier. But how's poker been going for you? What's
the last Sunday was a bloodbath. The week before was not great. The year has been pretty decent for me. I'm not that much of a results guy. I think I accidentally left my chart scope open for a couple of weeks ago, so people could take a glimpse. But apart from that, I'm not even checking my own results. I literally do it towards the end of the year, like once checking, all right, how are things going, you know, out of interest. But apart from that, I'm not checking my results. Like I'm trying to run sims, talk to poker friends, get that feedback, like my thought process, is it still on track? Do I have any leaks in my game? That's usually how I try to measure my success and play good, make good decisions, stay sharp with my A game. You know, that's just the kind of stuff that I like to focus on instead of looking, because I know ultimately the results, you know, you can have good results and play shit. You can have bad results and play good. Just, it's not a metric for me. I know if I put in the work, if I stay consistent, the results will show up, and the result will take care of itself. That's my mantra.
I mean, if you got deals, if you got investors or anything like that, then you gotta
investors.
See, are you taking all your own action? You don't like sell any piece to anybody? You just you firing 100 on everything?
I've basically everything, only 25K. I have one good trustworthy person who of course knows the knows more than a lot of people, and that's enough. Like usually the people in the poker industry, like they don't care that much about the results. They know, like the very smart ones in the poker worlds that they stake, they know the ones based on what they see, how they play. And I articulate my thought process every single time on stream. They can look how I think and can determine for themselves if I beat online poker tournaments or not. If you're an experienced poker player, a tournament pro, like really crusher, when he hears or sees someone talking about poker, playing poker, explaining his thought process, he will understand in no time if he can beat his games or not. I can sniff it out. Just someone writes me an email, and the first 2 cents, I know if he's a winning player or not.
I would love to test this out. I would love to test this out. I mean, I see what you're saying, right? Because most time, I mean, you know when you see a donk, right? A guy talk, you're like, all right. A guy that's a really top player, I mean, I met a lot of players that know how to talk, but they can't back it up. They can't consistently do it. They don't really, maybe they make a little bit of money. So I think there's a difference between the guy who sounds like they know what they're talking about and who can articulate a thought or an idea or a strategy or a theory, and then the person who really put into action for an extended period of time that got a body of work to back it up. So would we be able to identify the two of those people? You're saying that you can identify that fast, right? That's what you're saying. So which is interesting, and I would love to, if we could like test that out. That sounds like a fun test. Can Ben spot the foog or not? Like, can Ben identify? Maybe it is that fucking easy. It's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, it's, to be honest, it's usually the typical emails that someone writes you or DMs, hey, I'm really good at poker. I'm now on this terrible downswing for 30 games. I mean, come on. Like, if you really think you have a downswing after 30 games, you know he has no clue of variance, no clue of bankroll management, and he cannot be a winning player, right? It's just the very obvious things. Usually pros don't send me a DM on Instagram. It's like, they reach out on Discord, send a longer DM, bit more context, and okay, he knows his shit, and then we can have a conversation. I might also be more interested in taking him as a student. But usually, it's just, all right, this guy is just clearly overestimating yourself. Maybe bing something, it's like so easy to bing something and then lose 50 games. And usually, the way you want to assess yourself, take out your biggest score. Can you still be a consistent winner? Like, of course, you need these big scores. Don't get me wrong in tournaments, but very often they can also falsify the picture of your overall winnings, your overall ability to beat your stakes. So, yeah, we can surely test that, but I have to add, it's usually like on a very basic beginner level, and I'm pretty sure everyone who has experience in poker can sniff that out as well. If you understand variance, bankroll management, it's not that difficult, not that difficult to identify. And when it comes to staking, with the people that one specific person that stakes me, it's only for 25Ks. I usually sell between 40 and 60% for the 25Ks when I fire 3 bullets, and everything else, like when I don't play 25Ks, I'm playing everything on my own, which fortunately can be very expensive when you fire like a lot of bullets in the 10K. But it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. I mean, it seemed like it working out for you. So it seemed like you know how to do something that I mean, you're basically right. You're competing against the top players that are also doing the same thing you're doing on a regular basis, right? Like that's the schedule that you're using. Use a pretty unique strategy where it kind of seemed like you load up all your bullets for the big day when all the biggest events are there and you're locking in completely. And then when you're not doing that, you can work on your other businesses, or you can work at keeping your mind sharp for that epic grind or that big series or those moments when they do come up. And it seems like you've been able to sustain that approach now for a number of different years. And even against the best players in the world, as the technology is evolving, as the understanding of how to utilize tools is evolving, it seems like you're able to really stay on top of things. I mean, but you're not looking at your balance, so maybe you're not. Like, that's what I'm trying to...
I'm not looking at my balance? What do you mean? You mean that balance. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You're not looking at your results. Like, how do you know if you're winning? Like, you just like trust your like...
I mean, you see the cash here in the poker clients, right? So it's like, it's not that you complete in the darkness.
Okay, I thought you're like some fucking sicko where you're like, I'm not looking at anything. Like, I'm not looking at my balance. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna look at the end of the year. I might got 3 million in there. I might got 3 million not in there. You don't even have a clue until like December when you decide to look. And I was like, damn, that's like discipline. But anybody could do it. It's probably you. So if that's what you told me you were doing, then I could see like, great, maybe I'll try it. That's like a good idea.
How's the no limit holding grind working out for you? I know I've seen you on Instagram, and I think you were posting some sims. You were trying to get in the two card streets. Have been playing some games, tournaments, cash games.
I'm obsessed, Ben. I'm obsessed with Hold'em right now. I love it.
Really?
I love it. So it's so fun to study because the the solver, the bots, like the bots you play again. I play mainly heads up because I'm gonna have some stuff coming, right? It's heads up related. So basically, heads up is the most fun thing I've ever played. I can't like, I don't really want to play 6-max much anymore. I still love PLO, but 6-max is just so boring. So basically,
why is it boring?
Because in heads up you get to play 80% of your hands, whereas in 6-max you got to sit there and do nothing for a long time. So to me, I'm used to just, I want to be in the hand. I like the hands. I like the action. I want to keep playing. And I've always really loved playing a lot of hands. So heads up gives me the ability to play a lot of hands, which I love. And it's always action. You don't got to really, there's always like something to really think about on the flop, on the turn. And even though some of the single raise pots can get a little bit boring, it can get pretty exciting pretty fast once you can work the overbet in. And once you got to really, you know, the guy 1.5x the turn, you know, you really got, okay, well, you know, some boards you got your standard continues and your folds, but other times the decisions become a little bit more interesting. You're trying to figure out, okay, well, what should I defend with here? What should my range be if I defend here? What am I going to do on the river? What's my strategy to combat this? Do I want to implement it in my own? Like, is this the best spot to do it? So it kind of opens up a lot of questions for me from like a strategy standpoint that gives me a lot of engagement and a lot of stimulation when I'm playing. And basically, I know that no one is that I'm going to play out there. You know, a few people are doing this work, but most people probably aren't doing this work. So I know I have a big advantage against a lot of these people, and you're going to see that take place as the content of my content evolves. But this is like an early, I haven't really talked about this much, so this is a new thing.
I see. How are the games going for you, results-wise?
Well, I wouldn't say I only play against the bots.
Okay.
So the bots are, I'm beating one of the GTO bots. I play them every day. So against this guy, I'm doing pretty well. When I play an ECR, I basically start a table against all the bots because it's all like Belarus, Ukraine, Russia. And I just play all these guys till the game fills up, and then I leave and then go to a new table, kind of do that. So I'm going to start playing more private games, right? Like on Club GG, I mean, you can just turn off the rake and play on Club GG. Why not just do that? Versus...
Really? They have a home game where you can turn off the rake?
I'm pretty sure, but if you don't turn off the rake, you can just pay all the rake back. So I guess it... Whereas you play on ACR and you play 1-2 heads up, then over... You want to play a lot of hands, you want to play 1,000 hands with someone, you're paying a lot of rake. So even though I got a good rake back deal on there, so maybe I should consider it too. If you can get no rake versus 30% rake, then would you rather have no rake or 30% rake?
Okay, interesting. But I think the Club GG, you need to buy, you need to pay a fee, right? A monthly fee or something?
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal. I mean, I think that's
no. Of course, it's the cool, of course. So you can run home games without any rake, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of club apps, a lot of places to play poker. All you really need is a spot to be able to play. So if you want to play heads up against someone else, you just need a table to play. So a lot of sites, programs, you can turn off the rake. You don't need any rake. You can play FaceTime. You can do Battleship style. Yeah, there's a lot of different features out there. So you could set those things up. And then, yeah, I'm basically going to do some challenges as well. Do some heads-up challenges. And it's going to be sick, man. I'm telling you, it'll be fun. I'll probably play some big names that people probably know who they are. So, and eventually I'll play anybody. I'll play you. Like, I'll play anybody heads up at cash. Like, I'm pretty confident.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm down.
Play all the people I know. Think about it, bro. I've been listening to you guys talk hold'em to me for 8 fucking years. And I've been playing PLO. Not many people come play with me. So I got to go where you guys are at. I got to go to the 2-card PLO streets. So I'm happy to go there. I'm happy to battle anybody. So I'm excited for it, man. It'll be fun. I'm excited to play a lot of my friends. The people that I like. Like Ben fired up, looking at me hungry. You get hungry, man.
No, I'm excited to see how good your heads-up game is. And I mean, I'm not a heads-up specialist, but you know, I'm there to learn. You know, so
sparring. We can do sparring. We can do. I feel like, you know, like in boxing when the guys like they bring in partners to spar with, like they battle, they work on some moves, they like talk ideas. Like I feel like that. Yeah, you'd be great for that. You'd be like a great sparring partner. Even though I wouldn't say the cash game is not something you're studying every day, but still the way you think about it, it's going to be, I think it's going to be way different. I mean, you probably got like a real unique way of thinking about poker in general, right? I mean, I don't know what's what make you. So
yeah,
that could be a lot.
It's always a great challenge for sure. I enjoy playing heads up a lot. with singles tournaments, you play lots of heads up, right? So maybe not that deep of a stack size, but just go in with 100 big blinds and then it gets shorter. We start playing poker. No, for real, but yeah, no, sounds exciting. I'm down. Book me in.
Yeah,
let's go.
I want to play against Doug. I want to play against Landon. Like, I want to play against fucking all the names, right? It's not like I'm playing these expensive matches. It's not like we're gonna play 100, 200 match for fucking all this money. Like, these are. I'm not really looking to this aren't for big stakes. This is more for like for fun, for bragging rights, for it's still competitive. I'm still trying my hardest. Other people are going to try because they don't want to lose. Like it's not necessarily this thing where it's has to be a big stage. That is coming, but the sparring matches I envision is more mid stakes. You know, you kind of battle it out, have a good time, and somebody ends up the winner, somebody ends up the loser.
Mm-hmm. What stakes? Like what would be the conditions?
I'm like, I'm still like learning, so I don't know. I'm not like a big gambler. I don't really gamble much anymore. Like I feel like a lot of the, you know, when I'm playing cash games, PLO, like, you know, I'm not really gambling in some of these games. Like the game's pretty soft. You just got to play your game and you're gonna win.
Yeah.
So I'll think about it. Yeah, probably mid stakes, like 2-4 or something like that. I don't think I'm gonna play too high against a lot of the best players. It doesn't really make any sense because I feel like they're gonna be better than me anyway because I'm still learning. So. You know, until I know for sure where my skills might be, then maybe I move up the stakes then.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, we get. You would do it on the Club GG site then, or?
Dude, I'm down forever. I mean, there's a bunch of options. I name that because most people know it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's an option. I mean, there's like Poker Now. There's one with the face cam where you basically have a webcam on and you guys get to play. So you can stare at, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's more fun. You even record it, you know, it's like a fun content too.
Yeah, we can even mix in some PLO if you want.
Yeah, listen, that's the dream. So I'm setting up games in Vegas. So I'm going to start running games in Vegas, and the format I'm going to run is half Hold'em and half PLO. Because now I've been playing a lot of 6-max fast games on ACR against all the bots, so I just play a bunch of hands. Like one session, I think I ran up 18 buy-ins on one table at the fucking fast game. So I'm basically just playing the fast games versus the bots, so that way when I go play the real life players in Vegas, like a lot of these guys aren't really going to be that good. So if you can hold your own against the bots, then you basically can crush a lot of these bad players. So that's the strategy I'm building up right now when I start playing more of the local games. And then obviously most of these guys don't play both games, so you know,
so yeah,
put yourself in some good spots.
Yeah,
so we'll see. One guy excited, JP the man Toba says HO games are great. Yeah, I agree.
What are HO? Horse? Is it horse or what?
I think it's half and half, Hold'em and Omaha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
what we played on a lot of home. I don't even know how this variant is called. You get 3 cards. You get to see a flop, but then on the flop you have to fold 1 card.
Cool. That sounds fun. I guess not really.
We even played this, I think, here even in the casino. It's like it's similar like dealer's choice, and the dealer can decide if you play a traditional no limit hold'em or this. It's a hybrid between PLO and it's still no limit hold'em format. Same rules, just that you get 3 cards and you have to fold 1 on the flop. Pineapple? Is it pineapple? Crazy like pineapple, fun. Yeah.
Is it crazy pineapple? Yeah, I think I've heard that game. I never seen it spread anywhere. So Jane Andes said half and half, Poppy. Listen, Jane Andes, I don't know. Jane Andes gotta. Me and Jane Andes gonna get in a game. Is that what you want? Yes,
pineapple is fold before flop. You get 3. No, I played a variant where you see the flop with all 3 cards.
Bro, they're playing some crazy shit down here in Vegas. They're playing something like where, bro, they're playing something. It's like a stand-up game, but you don't really stand up. You just get these buttons, and then. Basically, like the last person has to pay a bunch of money to everybody at the table, like depending on the middle card. So if the middle card is a 10, then you got to pay like 10 times whatever it is. So if it's like 50, you got to pay $500 to every player. So one of these games, they rolled a 10. The last guy standing got to pay $5,000.
What total. The fuck?
what I'm saying. I'm like, these people are fucking nuts, and they're playing the Do 7 game. They're playing like some other game. Like I just, and it's exciting. Like it's fun. There's a lot of action, a lot of excitement. And so I don't know if I don't know if the type players would love that strategy, but the action players seem to really enjoy that strategy. Maybe you could implement some games like that. I'm probably checking games like that out too when I'm playing more live game.
Yeah, a lot of formats that you can try out with your casino then.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm
That's really Max DJ.
I'm just exploring new ideas. Like I said, right? Once I get the casino, you know, hopefully I can retire from the internet and I can live a peaceful life as a recluse in the top floor of the casino. But until then,
It sounds like to me that you're also really looking forward to do more shit live, like work with people live, you know, not everything in front of a cam, not everything in front of a computer, you know, but like going to your office, you know, like having the people engage with them live, poker table, behind the scenes, cam, screen, blah, 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 you know, like all that kind of shit. I feel like you're missing this a little bit, and you're really excited for that kind of like new interaction, just sitting in front of your screen and like recording and basically not really working with people in real life.
yeah, man, I lived in the metaverse. This is what I realized last year in Mexico when I was there in Cabo. I was living the Cabo life. I realized I've been trapped in the poker metaverse since I was 21, and I really want to do something in the real world. I want to get more involved in geopolitics. I want to get more involved in a different segment of the world, I guess you'd say. So basically, right, most of my study now is for the concept around investing, around money, around energy, to better understand these different parts of the world. And then I dive deeper into these other parts of the world, maybe finance, maybe politics, maybe local politics, geopolitics. And I'm just trying to identify where I want to work, what if I want to be more of behind the scenes, like my expertise is in digital marketing, content creation, getting attention, getting things to stand out. So online events. So now I want to add live events to that knowledge and expertise, because I think that's going to make me a stronger investor, because I can add more value to any deal. I can get better deals. I can work the investments together. You can do a lot of interesting strategies with what I'm aiming for. And I think that along the way, I'll meet the people in the world that I want to work with, and that will allow me to try some new ideas and new things. So basically, right, I've been doing this a long time, Ben. I already done conquered playing poker. I conquered making content. Like, so I'm trying to see what else I could do out there before my time in the poker world is more of a part-time thing versus full-time thing.
I see. You got great plans. You got a vision. I think it's going to be an exciting journey for you. Lots to learn, lots to experience. I hope you will succeed.
Yeah, what do you think? You think it'll work out?
Yeah, I do believe that's going to work out for you. You seem to be someone, you have a lot of experience in the industry. You, not only in the industry, but in business itself. I think you have a good sense for people and when to engage in something and when to stay away potentially. So yeah, I do think that it will work out for you. You don't have this naivety, or you're not so naive anymore, which I think is super important for business.
Absolutely, right? Like,
Yeah,
especially live in Vegas, deal with poker players. Poker players, I consider these guys like egomaniac, rich, crazy people that, you know, there's an art to deal with a successful guy, a successful girl, a rich person, a billionaire, a scam artist, a Fugazi master, and everybody in Vegas, a con man, everybody in Vegas, an operator. The best operators operate you, they operate your network, they operate your opportunity that you provide them. So you meet the people who are complete fugs, who just talk, who don't have action. You meet the people who are all about the action. You learn how to deal with people. And I got a lot of good friends around me who do a lot of stuff too that I just learn a lot from. So I think combination of all those things helps you get better at that shit. And seem like a function of repetition and time.
I see.
Oh, what's this A stance? What's that mean?
This is the logo of Ascend. It's our esports organization.
It doesn't come up on my end.
It doesn't come up? What do you mean?
I don't have an emote on mine.
Because you're not subscribed.
Oh, okay.
See.
That's your esports channel?
That's one of our players' channel. that has that emote. We have that emote with this guy dancing, and that's from one of our players. Like,
cool.
this
Why
dancing
don't
guy.
you collab with those players?
Sorry?
Do you ever collab with your esport players?
Of course, they play for us, so we do content with them. That's usually it's the same. A football club has teams, right? Like usually it's what most people think. If you hear of Bayern Munich or FC Barcelona, you think of football, right? But they also have maybe a basketball team or a table tennis team, or there's like a lot of more players, teams involved, right? So we are very known for a Valorant team, but also we have a lot of different other teams in different titles and different games, and content creators, influencers that we have signed. I think right now 5 that stream under our banner and represent us and bring in reach that is then attractive for sponsors. And yeah.
Sounds like fun. How much time are you spending on that versus poker and RaiseYourEdge?
Right now, towards the end of the year, way more. I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like manage expectations? Because it seems like the expectations for each of these businesses that you have is going to be very different.
What do you mean in terms of expectation? My own expectations towards the business, or
okay, for example, your expectations at poker are maybe for you to play your best game, stay on top of your shit, and have a winning year. Your expectations with RaiseYourEdge could be content related, could be profit related, could be coach related, could be organizational related, and then your goals and your expectations for the esports thing is probably going to be, similar to the business of RaiseYourEdge, but it could be a lot different in terms of like what you're tactically thinking about implementing, because it's kind of like a different challenge you're still learning. So when you switch back and forth through esports to poker, like it's probably like you got to get your mind right in that frame of mind, and maybe that could get in the way of your expectations because you're not able to focus like you're used to. So now you have half focus in on a few ideas. I mean, maybe you got to wait. So what do you think about how that impacts you?
I mean, I never really did build anything. All these 3, like playing poker, RaiseYourEdge, and Acend, I never started everything from scratch together. So started with poker, 5, 6, 7 years, got really good at it. So I could take some time away from it, study less, build RaiseYourEdge, but also I can still combine the two of them. I can combine studying with content creation. It's like I discover something, oh wow, let's put it in the course. Oh, let's make a YouTube video out of it. And explaining is the best way of learning, right? Because not only am I supposed to see it and recognize something, no, I need to understand it myself in order to teach it to someone. So boom, I've learned something whilst I was recording content, creating content, working for RaiseYourEdge, right? So it's like, it goes hand in hand. And then at some point, also with RaiseYourEdge, we have a great team, great marketing team, great graphic guys, editors, where now we're at the point where I literally just record content and they know what to do with that. There used to be times where I was way more involved, like I needed to look into, how the content is being utilized, how it's being edited, and more meetings. And now I can lean back and really focus on the content. It also allows me to work a bit more in Acend, where actually now we also have automated a lot of the process, and I can just literally give instructions and give feedback and input, like, and it's that is my goal, to find the people that can execute on my ideas and visions, and still, I always want to be somehow involved, to make sure that things are going right, and requires some time, but ultimately, I think it's important that they also see, hey, I'm not just there to give instructions, tell people do this, do that. No, I'm also trying to learn. I'm also okay with mistakes, but it's very important to me that we talk about it, that we learn from it, and not do the same mistakes again. That everyone feels safe, that he has the confidence to execute, but also bring on their ideas, and we talk about it openly. And if someone, is not sharing that kind of, vision, belief, then it's not meant to be, and that's cool.
Damn, that sounds fucking hard, doesn't it, man?
It is, yeah.
Not hard, right? Like, damn, you like stress me out even saying that, and I got to get over that too, right? Because my thought is like, you say you train the guy, you hire the guy, and then the guy leaves. You put 3 years in, the guy goes somewhere else. Now you got to train the next person, and
yeah,
you gotta like build the best people at business are the people who they're organizing the team, they're raising money, they're as the ambassador of the company or of the idea. So I guess each founder, each executive is going to have their strengths that they could focus on. So figuring out how to really maximize those areas of your strength, and then find the people that are immediately around you who could provide a lot of value and support what you just said, right? But also add their own value to it, and then you can trust them enough to do it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
Seem like that is the skill in what we're describing, is being able to build up those organizations and then build up the systems and then scale to whatever level. You know, if you want to make $100 million, well, then your strategy can be different than if you want to make $1 million, or if you just want to do things well, but you're not necessarily focused as much on profit.
Yeah.
So it kind of is going to depend on how you're going to think about hiring, who you're going to hire, what kind of scale you're hiring for, what your vision is in the future for people that align with your vision, right? So it's a lot of things we've discussed, and that part seemed like a challenge to figure out. I mean, that seemed like pretty
True. It's, you probably
Maybe just
experienced it as well. Like, you invest a lot of time into someone, and then I won't say it's for nothing, because you also learn about who you want to be working with and who not, and you know, identify pitfalls early on that might not turn out the nicest way. I've had definitely business partners in my past where it went really bad, like really bad, where it also turned out they had money issues and I was not aware of it, scammed me behind my back, and I was like, I had no fucking clue, you know. Have you experienced something similar, like working with people business, where you actually had this person made a good impression, like any kind of these experiences?
I think the only thing that happened was with the Jay Nana, shout out to Jay Nana in the chat. What happened with him, where I basically sold a lot of his PLO products, but the deal I had was for they set up this affiliate deal to incentivize you as the affiliate to keep promoting their shit. So if they give you a revenue share lifetime deal based off a customer you bring in, then that's going to apply to any product that you get in the future. So with the second time you put out a course, then I got the revenue for the guy who bought the course the first time and also bought the second course. And I think there was like a dispute about that. And I think he wasn't happy with the deal he had with Doug. And then he basically like talked about how I didn't want to wasn't fair with the deal. I'm like, listen, I'm just doing what every affiliate has this deal. Like, the only reason I'm trying so hard is because I got a good deal. Otherwise, I could just fucking not say anything and not help anybody out, and then, you know, whatever. But I am, so this is what I'm doing, and it seemed like it's working out well for everybody. So that's really the only dispute I ever got into with that. And but besides that, like, for the most part, I just mainly work with Doug, and everything went really well for a long time. I never had an issue with Doug about basically anything. So over like 10 years. So yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. And then after that, every poker set I work with has been great. Worked with ACR at the beginning of my career. They were actually pretty good to work with. GG Poker was pretty good to work with. WPT Global has been pretty good to work with. Pokerstars always been pretty smooth to work with. Yeah, every operator event I work with, they always treat me really well. So I never really had, that I can think about, I never really had that like a bad experience with somebody. I mean, I have with some of my investments, I have actually, yeah, but I'd rather not talk about that.
Not everything can go well. I mean, that's just, if you do business, you sign up for failures.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's part of learning, right? Like, you know, you got to learn what makes a good, whatever your role is. So if you're an investor, if you're providing capital, if you're advising a company, if you're an ambassador for a company, if you're helping to promote the product or service for a company, like all that just takes time for you to be able to get better at understanding how to do that role well. And obviously you ain't going to succeed, but if we have high expectations, going back to what you initially said at the beginning of the show, where we always want to be better, we're competitive against ourselves, we constantly want to keep growing and improving, then it's really easy to have high expectations of yourself when you go into something new. And then when you don't meet those expectations, you can be really self-critical on yourself. And once again, right, you might not be able to get past that. And that might really hinder your progress or your ability or your results. So being able to identify that in new roles, I found, is really important.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that now, because I definitely struggle with that.
Oh, my poker chips just fell down.
Are you shuffling chips too?
Sometimes, yeah. We got these RaiseYourEdge crafted poker chips.
Yeah.
Was a present from a fan. Like really good poker chips. Like very. It's what kind of material is this? Can't think of a name.
Kind of material. It's like a special chip material. I've never been heard of before, huh?
Huh?
Clay. It's clay. Is it clay?
Wait, is it clay? I mean, maybe you can hear it.
Oh, yeah. It sounds kind of like clay, but a nicer material. Does RaiseYourEdge have a
ceramic?
chip set?
It's ceramics. Yeah, it's ceramic.
Ceramic.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
Does RaiseYourEdge have a contribution to the first ever Big Poppy meetup game in Vegas that they might want to provide as a potential promotion for the fans in attendance?
Absolutely.
We got
Listen,
kid.
whatever you need, we're in.
Should it be? I mean, I feel like these great chips.
I fly personally over and hand it over.
You gonna come over in December?
Depends on the dates.
Okay, I'll let you know.
If it does not conflict with Christmas, then because I think from 20th on, but the first half of December I'm still quite available.
Okay, perfect. I'll send you more information about it right after this, and it's invite only private meetup game for my first event. We're doing like a big meetup game on the 1st, which is going to be with IB and a lot of the big ambassadors. I'll be one of the people hosting that game. And then I got my own more of like private game, which will be the inaugural first one ever. It's going to be fun, but that's more like Legion members only and my friends. So, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We got out some promotions. I'm lining up the promotions, the giveaways for people in attendance. So yeah, we're happy to have RaiseYourEdge be a part of that as well. And maybe we can even get Ben over here as well too. But yeah, Ivy, guys, listen, Phil fucking Ivy is going to play 1-2. You're kidding me. Can you imagine Ben being a fan, getting to play with Phil Ivy at the fucking 1-2 game? Like that's, to me, like Doyle Brunson might be there too. This is like iconic. Like I'm like, oh my God, to promote this. Like, I'm so happy. Like this is like a special time.
I never play live, so you know nobody knows how I'm playing live.
Oh, I'm sure you know what you're doing. You'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know how Ben CB plays. Something tells me you're gonna play like a god. I mean, I don't know. Just my
acting out of order, just raising from the cutoff when UTG haven't even done his action.
Going to like World Series of Poker Europe or
nah, it's always like so much time commitment for a week or 2 weeks, and it just like it's rough. I definitely want, and I also want to do like high roller live vlogs. I wanted to do it in a long time, but COVID was also, you know, denying that opportunity to a certain degree. And then this year got just so much busier with Ascend. And next year I definitely would love to play some more live tournaments and also create content around at live high rollers, hand breakdowns, behind the scenes, you know. Yeah, that's what I'm really excited for.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, you gotta evolve. I hit that point of content creator where eventually you'd be doing it for like 10 or 15 years and you're like, okay, like what do I really want to be doing with my time?
Yeah.
So if we can do anything with our time, like what do you want to be spending it on? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
For you, I mean,
yeah.
You got a lot of directions to go. I mean, I feel like you could do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're already doing well with poker and you got the Ascend being built, like it kind of gives you some leeway in some of your other businesses potentially, where you know maybe you kind of adopt a new practice for what you do and you focus more on another area that maybe you didn't think about focusing on before, and you sort of have to like let it go. Like I'm in that stage now where I have to let go of my older identity, which was primarily a poker player or a podcast host, and now I have to try to embody being an investor or being a live event or court organizer, putting on an event, putting on a live experience. Like I sort of have to like get out of the old identity I had, and I have to let in a new energy and to try to put my all into that versus like being tied the interpretation I had of myself 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago when I was younger.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Listen, Joey, I was planning for around 2 hours.
Oh, sorry, we went up, and I was getting fired up.
Oh, you just got fired up?
I was fired up the whole time talking to you. Yeah.
I'm always fired up talking to you.
Yeah, it's nice. Why don't we wrap it up then, kid? We let the fans go. We wrap it up, and I'll send you more info about what we got going on, and then
sure,
we go from there.
Sure, man. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. Really appreciate it. I'm excited for what you have planned.
Thank you.
Send some puppy love in the chat. This highly valuable man is taking the time to come on today for us and share his wisdom and experience with us.
For the Raise Your Edge community, I love to shout to Raise Your Edge. Yeah, we got a lot of love for Raise Your Edge show. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed me and Ben chatting. And if you want to know more, you can watch our other podcast. Or watch our Ben's podcast on his YouTube channel.
Guys, thank you so much also for tuning in and being here around the chat and being so nice and kind and supportive as always. Best community in the world. And I see you guys maybe tomorrow for a short study stream. If not, maybe Sunday. I'm not sure. But definitely the week after. And Joey, wish you all the best. We stay in touch. We chat. We talk. And I wish you guys a great night. It's getting late here. I think for you it's the morning, right? So for you guys in NA, have a great day. Much love. And then we're out. See you guys. Bye-bye. Ciao.